Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience.
Many people are skimming the internet trying to catch up on what's going on for the Masters, especially if they haven't been paying attention to golf so far. And one thing people love are trends. I love trends. I know you love trends. Dave Tindall, you write the best trends column every single year for the Masters. Joining me on the line right now from across the pond, writer at The Guardian and Betfair. How much work goes into this column every year? Or do you just save it from the year before and just update it every single time?
Well, that would make sense, wouldn't it? But I always lose the numbers. I'm just always thinking I've got this somewhere hidden on my computer, but I do tweak it every year. For a while it used to be a sort of knockout system where if somebody failed one statistical hurdle, that was then gone. But it seemed a bit too brutal. So I think about 2 or 3 years ago, I introduced a point system. So if you kind of fail one category, you're not out of the game. So yeah, it always involves more tweaking than I think.
Were you surprised at Russell Henley coming out at number 1? I mean, did you have to come up with the tiebreaker on the fly to give him the nod over Rory?
Basically, yeah.
I like it.
I was I was pleased and surprised because I kind of think when you do something like this, if it spits out Scotty Scheffler, you think, well, what's the point of all that? Because tell me something I don't know. So it was almost the case with McIlroy, I guess, because he came out joint top. But Henley, you kind of have a rough idea that he's done these good things before. He's had a top 5 at Augusta. He's won this year. You know, he's played well in a recent major. So you kind of he might do well, but it was a surprise to see him right on top. Yeah.
So I guess my question is, because I look into this too, and I love looking at the trends, and if it fits my narrative, I like to work trends into it, but how seriously do you take, especially these specific master trends, when it comes to your actual outright bets and what you're going to be tipping next week?
Yeah, I know people can get a bit sniffy about trends because they're not maybe mathematically robust, and people have thrown that at me. I thought, my mum's a maths teacher. I know about maths. I'm quite good at maths. I realise this isn't going to, inform the next landing on Mars. Some of the kind of workings out here, but yeah, I'd probably say it validates it. You'll know yourself if you can get more information that kind of backs up what you're thinking anyway. It's always good. So I don't live and die by the trends, but I also think it might be a bit much just to focus on like the guy who comes out on top, because people like that, don't they? People want one name to say that's come out top. But if I see a guy down in maybe 5th on the trends who's a big odds, I'll see that as just as useful, to be honest.
So who is it that you're thinking, like, are you going to bet Russell Henley at this big number? Because I still can't do it.
You can't. Why can't you do it?
Because I just don't think he's going to win. He's not going to win the Masters. He might win the U.S. Open. He might win the PGA Championship. Augusta doesn't seem... Even the year that he came inside the top 5, he had like a hole out from the middle of the fairway on number 7 in the final round. Like, he was never in that Masters. He just ended up near the top of the leaderboard when all was said and done, but he never actually contended to win.
But could we have could we have had this conversation a long time ago about Zach Johnson maybe? And you said, no chance. He's got no chance.
I think that you could have that conversation about Zach Johnson, and the weather worked in his favor to a point where all of a sudden he had the best game plan going. And I think for a big portion, and it's no different than Danny Willett. Like, I hit Danny Willett to win. I didn't think he was necessarily going to win when he went in, but we got 27 straight holes of gigantic wind, and it just threw chaos into the entire tournament, and then Spieth melted down, and Willett was standing there to pick up the pieces. With Zach Johnson, he wins at +1. How often do we see an overscore winner at the Masters? It was cold, it was rainy. It doesn't seem like there's going to be that series of conditions this time around. I think for someone like Russell Henley to win, and there's a long list of people who I think fit this mold, that something weird needs to take place, be it rain, be it delays, be it wind, cold, whatever it might be. Otherwise, you're going to get one of the top 10 guys who wins.
Yeah, you'd think so. But I suppose for Russell Henley, I think there's an element, there's a subset of people who think Russell Henley is 2015 Russell Henley, who hasn't just won at Bay Hill, who doesn't hit it long enough, and who they might think, oh, he's 27th on the world rankings. He's not, is he? He's clearly kicked on a lot in his game. So if you said to me one name to win the Masters, I'm probably not going to say Russell Henley, but as an each way bet, I think he's absolutely in contention for that.
I see. I can get on board with you for that. If you take the 8 places, 10 places, I can most definitely see a top 10 in his future. But as strange as this sounds, even though he's never won in America, when it comes to the Masters, I would think that someone like Tommy Fleetwood actually has a better chance of winning than Russell Henley does.
Yeah, man, that's fair on lots of metrics. I guess Tommy Fleetwood has scar tissue. I mean, as a Canadian, you know, he couldn't get across the line in your Open. When is he going to get across the line? Again, Tommy Fleetwood, it's kind of predicted he's going to go well, and his each way price is a lot lower than Russell Henley's. So, you know, you've got to play it on the price.
So do you think that this Russell Henley thing will end up becoming like people on one side, people on another? Because the data people, and listen, I'm a data person. Like, I see the data. I see it staring at me, and half the time I don't even want to believe it. And I was actually stunned that he ended up winning at Bay Hill. I just figured Morikawa was going to roll. Henley would fall back like he always does, like he did the week before against a bunch of jabronis at Cognizant. But it just didn't happen. He held on. He ended up winning. But I think when you have to go chase people at Augusta and the major pressure ends up getting to you, that is a little bit different. Like, has Russell Henley ever seriously contended in a major on a Sunday?
You'd probably say not, but then you can play the scar tissue argument, I guess, that he doesn't know what it's like to do that, and he might just find it's okay. And the recent win, I do think a recent win does help a lot for guys who can't get over the line. They suddenly think, actually, I can do this. Actually, you know, people can say that chip in, but you know, he found some inspiration when he needed it. That's another angle.
Yeah, you can just look at every Nick Taylor win. Nick Taylor has one of those moments in every single win that he has, whether it's a chip in, a 70-foot putt, whatever it is. You need those things to break your way to win certain tournaments. It does feel like at the Masters, there are fewer of those things that actually happen.
Yeah, maybe. I just think, that with betting, it's obviously good. People would go back a few years. People would say, "Oh, Bubba Watson hits it a mile. He's an Augusta type. He's got to win there." But with Russell Henley, he's never going to have that over him. And because of the perception that he's an earlier version of Russell Henley, and he doesn't hit it far enough, the odds are a lot bigger than they would be. And I do think it's very, how many times have I done it down the years? You think, well, he can't win that tournament. Tim Clark won the Players' Championship. That's not possible. It happened. Things that are impossible happen. And I don't think we're in the realms of impossibility. For Russell Henley, a local guy from Georgia, can win the Masters. Larry Mize, it can be done. It can be done, Pat.
Listen, the biggest comp that I could put to Russell Henley winning would probably be Mike Weir winning the Masters.
Yeah.
Like in terms of where Weir was a top 10 player at the time. Henley's a top 10 player at the time. Going into the 2003 Masters, it's like, oh, it's going to be VJ or Tiger or Phil, whoever. Then it turned out to be Mike Weir and Len Matisse at the end. Weird things can happen. But we just have not been seeing that. Generally at major championships, there's been a few outliers, but the best of the best have really been winning.
I guess so. I remember Mike Weir had won at Riviera earlier that season. So again, he probably that was a boost for him. That I can slug it out with these guys. But I know, yeah, Russell Henley. If we were having this argument and he was 20 to 1, I would say, yeah, okay. I see all these negatives. As he's 50 to 1 and maybe more, I suddenly think, actually, how are we getting 50 to 1? I'm thinking, how is that possible? What more does he have to do to be considered a better contender than that price suggests?
What he has to do is have no one bet on him this week, and he goes out and wins the Masters, and we all sit here feeling foolish.
Yeah, well, that would be good.
And then everyone else everyone will line up to bet him at the PGA Championship and be like, oh yeah, here we go, Russell Henley 22 to 1. Then he'll miss the cut.
Yeah. So I think, who knows? Say he top fives this time and plays well in another major, then we won't be getting 50 to 1 about him next time. So yeah, I get the anti-Henley argument, but I also think at the odds, we're not discussing a 20 to 1 shot. We're discussing a guy who's 50 to 1 who's just won at Bay Hill.
Yeah, he really reminds me of when Webb Simpson had his resurgence a few years back, where you had, like, Webb was a former major champion, but that was a decade ago. It was in 2011 at that point, and then he just goes away for a really long time. And then all of a sudden he comes back, and no one really wanted to believe that he was a top 10 player in the world again. He was just draining every putt. The short game was immaculate. His game is really constituted a lot like Russell Henley's is at the moment, and no one really believed that Webb was going to contend in a major, and he never really did contend in a major, even through the spot where he was a top 10 player in the world.
Yeah, I mean, with Russell Henley, in my trends, I've got like a list of categories where you've got to show evidence that you can do the things that you need to win at Augusta. And you kind of think, well, maybe he'll be good. He'll have had a good putting year 1 year. He'll have hit his irons well 1 year. But actually in driving distance, he's actually finished top 20 for driving distance at Augusta before. So, he's not a tiny hitter.
No, not at all. It's funny, looking through your trends, I actually liked what you said about looking down the list a little bit, because there's two guys that I'm very interested in. And it's really number dependent on whether I want to do it or not. And I do want to watch Live over the weekend to see what happens. But Lowry and Rahm coming in with 68 points, coming in all tied for 4th on that list. Like, those are two guys that I'm eyeing big time this year.
Yeah, those two I'm keeping an eye on. The other interesting one is Brooks Koepka. If I've worked out, if Koepka wins Live Miami and then his world ranking jumped up, he could tie Henley, I've worked out. But the problem is, I think he's only 45th in the data golf world rankings, which is what I'm going on these days because they give points to the Live players. I have absolutely no idea, Pat, how many points you get for winning the Live event in the rankings. I haven't got a clue. But I doubt it's enough for him to jump from 45th into the top 20, I think. Would you say that? Was that a fair assessment?
I mean, in my mind, Brooks is a weird outlier to all of this when it comes to major championships. I think if he's showing any form coming in, you have to take him seriously.
Yeah. So if he wins Live Miami, then I say whether he gets to the top of my rankings because of his data golf world ranking, I don't quite know because I don't know the points, but it could happen. And yeah, he's got to be a danger man, but he ticks so many other categories in my trends that yeah, he's worth looking at, as is Rahm, of course. Who was the other one you mentioned? Oh, Shane Lowry, yeah. Yeah, Shane Lowry. All those guys, yeah, they're interesting. I think except Straka's features quite highly, but again, you're going to tell me he can't win.
I actually bet him to win the Open already at 100. I had 100 to 1. I feel like Portrush is a better spot for him than Augusta. I mean, he's played well at Augusta. He's been getting a little bit better. It's just, again, I actually weirdly think that Straka, and this is going to be a really bad take in about 7 days' time when people look back at this, I think Straka has a better chance to win than Henley does, in my mind.
Oh okay. Yeah. Again, I would say Straka, his odds are he's been dismissed too readily. I think what does he need to do to be considered a better contender? So I think his odds are very big. He's one I'll be looking at. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because obviously Henley has the big win and all these indicators. I suppose I should ask you. Scheffler doesn't have a win coming in. Hideki was the last player to not have a win coming into the Masters. And obviously, if you have like 3 top 10s, there's a whole bunch of like different trend lines that you can fudge any way that you want to make it seem like, oh, all these guys have it every single time. But does it worry you that he's not closing tournaments?
Yeah, I think. Well, I I I was already thinking. I always a big trend is the defending champion has got an absolutely terrible record in this tournament. Year after year, it's just so bad. The defending champion, you've got to take that on board. It can't just be some sort of statistical anomaly. I think there's a reason. I do think all the faff around the champions dinner, just that idea that you've got to get the same break. That's a big negative on Scheffler. But the second big negative is he's not won this year, and he's just doing some slightly odd things like that approach to the last in Houston just didn't make the green. And Scheffler normally pin high all the time. So yeah, I think it will trouble him that he's not this winning machine anymore. And to have no wins is very strange.
And to swing it back the other way, like Hovland rates out really well on the list. He finished just behind Rahm, Hideki, and Lowry. But I would put Hideki and Hovland weirdly into the same boat. Yes, the last time that we saw Hovland, he won, but he was god awful before that. You don't rarely see a bunch of miscuts for the winner of the Masters coming in. And Hideki doesn't have all the miscuts going on, although he might miss the cut in San Antonio over the weekend. But besides his win, he's played really badly.
Yeah, yeah, his approach numbers have just fallen away, haven't they? And yeah, it's a tricky one to think of him winning. Who did you just say before that as well?
Yeah, it's Victor.
Victor Hovland. Yeah, he's a strange one because one of the trends here is it's a better trend fit if you're in your 20s. Now, there's a lot of golfers that are the best who've all kind of aged together and they've all gone past 30 now. I know it's a number and all that, but it definitely, history shows that the Masters is good for 20-somethings, as is the USPGA, as is the US Open. So who are the great golfers in their 20s at the moment? You've got Scheffler, then who? You've got Hovland, then who?
Ludwig?
Yeah, I suppose he'd fall down a bit because he's only played it once. I know he was second, but there's not a big bunch of them. There's not a big 8 or 10 like there was maybe 5 years ago with the DeChambos and the Rahms and everybody. So if you really put faith in that 20-something idea, you think, well, who are these guys? And Victor Hovland is one of them, and he's got a recent win. It's just that because we watched it closely and we read the quotes and the eye test and all that, it just seems, well, can he win the Masters on the back of that? We think not.
If we're thinking 20-something, like I bet on Akshay and Robert McIntyre to win at gigantic odds because they were gigantic odds. And, they're both lefties at Augusta. Why not? If someone's going to break through, why not it be someone from the... If Rory or Scotty doesn't win, doesn't it feel like it's completely wide open?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because then who's next on your list? Morikawa, who hasn't won for ages, seems to have lost that magic habit. Rahm, you just don't know what playing on live every week does to somebody. Can he really just turn it on like that? I think it is wide open. I mean, what do you think of Rory McIlroy? Is he...
I mean, if I had to pick between Rory and Scotty, I'm picking Rory, but I'm not betting Rory at 7-1. It's just not happening.
That's the problem, yeah. I'd rather back Rory. I don't know. Well, he always has bad first rounds, doesn't he? But if he was near enough, if it was a kind of okayish first round, and he's not shot himself out of it, I'd rather back him at 14-1 from off the pace, maybe.
Yeah, and then you have all those guys like you mentioned Morikawa, Justin Thomas, Patrick Cantlay. Like these guys haven't won in forever. It'd be really weird if they just, especially at their odds. Like you have to compare, like you said, with Russell Henley. Do you think Russell Henley's going to win? No, at 70-1, 50-1, whatever it is. It's a better value than all these guys who are 25-1 and still don't win.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's a lot of evidence of them not winning. It's not, well, they've not won for 6 months. It's years in some of the cases, isn't it? So, yeah, there's no one that I can say absolutely he's going to win this year. I don't see how anyone could be so confident in anybody. The Scheffler fans have got the defending champion angle. They've got the no win this year. The Rory fans, they've got all the current form, but it's the Rory Augusta thing. So yeah, maybe if there's one I trusted slightly more than the others, it's Rahm, just because he's won it recently and just because he can turn it on. So, and he's got a bank of good Augusta form before his win.
I'm with you. I've seen him down to 20-1 in some spots, and of all the guys sub 50-1 right now, I think he might be my favorite.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, just because if you've been there once and done it, I quite like the pattern of. If you look at down the years, I think Mickelson, they kind of do it every other year. I think Arnold Palmer won in 60, 62, 64, something like that. Every other year, they kind of have the bad year when they have to defend it, and then they kick on again. So Rahm is kind of he's had his year when he's doing the dinner and everything. Now he's back on it. So Mickelson as well, yeah.
Yeah, Bubba did it too. 14
Bubba, yeah,
or
another good one.
13
Yeah.
and 15, I think, or 12 and 14 was the
12
two
and
Bubba
14,
years.
yeah. So there's a lot of them. And then the stat again, anti-Scheffler is there's only Jack Nicklaus has won 3 of 4. So, Tiger never won 3 out of 4. So it's asking an awful lot for somebody to do what Scheffler's been asked to do.
It's funny with Scheffler right now, only because he's still very clearly. I mean, you could make a case that Rory has been the best player, but if we're thinking who the best player in the world is, I think everyone still just defaults to Scheffler. But I think that people don't realize that the gap of where he was for the past 18 months versus everyone else has really shrunk, it feels like. Even you mentioned that shot on the 72nd hole to go win a tournament in Houston. And I know almost the same. It's funny because the same thing almost happened last year in Houston. He had to stick it and make the putt in order to force the playoff with Jagger on the exact same hole. He hits it to 4 feet. But last year, Scheffler misses the putt because that's what he was doing at this point last year. And then obviously he goes on to win the Masters. But he had 4 wins earlier on in the season before that. And I think you hit on the key thing. It's the same thing that I've noticed too, is he's just not hitting the ball hole high. Like he did it every time last year. Even if it wasn't at the hole, it would be 25 feet directly to the left, pin high.
Yeah.
His wedges are over the map. His long irons are over the map. The driving's not as good. It's still elite when you go look at the numbers and when you watch him, but you got this expectation with Scotty where he was just going to hit it to 10 feet every time, and maybe he makes the putt, maybe he doesn't, but it doesn't matter because he's going to hit it to 10 feet every time. When he's not doing that, then it becomes more of a problem, and other guys can sneak in there, as we've seen.
Yeah, and then when it keeps happening, well, I know it's a small sample size, but Scheffler isn't used to going this long without a win. So if things keep chipping away at his mind, last year that didn't happen. I would have won that last year. I think if you go to Augusta with any sort of creeping doubts in your mind, that he'll find you out. And you think Scheffler, I know Scheffler's a very level-headed guy, and he plays board games away from the course, and he's calm. Well, he's had a few things happen to him, I guess, hasn't he? But overall, he's a calm, level-headed guy. So I still think there's Augusta. I still think that the whole mystique and weirdness of the place just feeds on those little insecurities. So he's just not for me this year at all.
Yeah, and I feel the same way. And just the Rory scar tissue is making me stay away from him, just like that number. That's why Rahm becomes so much more appealing, because he's playing good golf on Live, for whatever that's worth. I mean, it could be really good. It could mean absolutely not. Put it this way. I think it's better that he's coming inside the top 5 every week on Live rather than coming 45th on Live every week.
Yeah.
Like Cam Smith.
Yeah. He's beaten some players, but yeah, out of the two, you said before, I would back Rory more. I think maybe with McIlroy, I'd back him to win a major this year. I do. I was thinking about this before. You do get these gaps, don't you? Like Tiger had a big gap. Mickelson had a big gap. Ernie Els, I think, went 11 years between majors. 94, 97, 02, 13.
And 13,
I do think these absolute elite top-end players do have another one in them. So I think Rory will, that argument, will Rory win another major? I think definitely yes. It's just whether it'll be this one. But I do like that thing he said. I want to play more like Scotty, and cut out the kind of the thrills a little bit. And if you're going to play more like Scotty, well, it's already shown that he's won twice, so maybe he'll look at videos of Scheffler winning the Masters and say, "All right, I'll do that then."
Do you mentioned that, like, the guys in the 20s, we were kind of rattling through some. Like I said, I like Akshay, I like Bobby Mack. Obviously, Ludwig is up there. Victor is up there. Scotty is still the defining guy of players in their 20s right now. We didn't bring up Neiman at all. And just, like, your take on some of these live players that I don't love Neiman at Augusta. I think he can do fine. I don't think he's going to win. I would always put him in that category of someone who will win a U.S. Open or PGA Championship. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but those seem to be the better courses for him. And I really have no idea how to gauge how good he actually is, because I've asked this to a few of my guests coming through. If he had remained on the PGA Tour right now, who do you think would be his PGA Tour contemporary? Would it be Rory? Would it be Victor Hovland? Would it be Ludwig? Like, where do you think he would fall in if he had just stayed?
If Neiman had stayed, I don't know, because even before he went, his record in the majors was terrible. So what's that about? I don't know. Is he going to be? You can't really compare him to someone like Max Homa, but is he going to be a regular winner of kind of other events, but he can't do it in the majors? I mean, looking at Augusta, looking at some of his stats, he just doesn't hit it. I know you don't have to be straight at Augusta, but he's never got anywhere near the driving accuracy figures that other winners have had. His ball striking's never been good enough at Augusta. I don't know. He's very hard to judge, isn't he? He's very hard to judge because his odds suggest. Well, I mean, what is he this week? What odds are we getting this week on Neiman?
Well, for the Masters, like I've seen him as low as 25-1, but he's usually around like 35.
Yeah. But name any other player with a record at the Masters or the majors like him. You can't see those odds, can you? I don't know. Surely one of the trends I use is a sort of base camping. This idea you've got to have a base camp before you kick on and win a major. Neiman's done none of that. He's never got anywhere near to having a good major. So I couldn't back him until he's done something. I think he'll have to get an eighth or something this year and then maybe kick on in another major. But for now, he just doesn't interest. I mean, we've not talked about Min-Woo Lee. He would interest me more for this week than Neiman, I have to say.
I would tend to agree with you too, and you're going to get him at 4 times the price more than likely. Like right now, he's 50 to 60. Does this work the same way on the exchanges and like the numbers that you see in the UK? Because I know here, the numbers are the numbers until Monday morning, and then they completely reset and everyone gets better odds.
Yeah, it can drift out. Yes, in the big events, the majors. Yeah, you suddenly think I've got an okay price, and then he'll go, oh no, he's 20 points bigger now. So yeah, and that's obviously with that you've got to assess what the public will be betting on, and that people like Henley, Corey Connors, I still think there's a bias against them.
Well, despite the fact that Connors has he has the 3 top 10s at the Masters. He's been pretty bad at the Masters the last 2 years, and he just doesn't have any touch. Like it's his path, like almost like I said with Henley, Corey Connors' path to winning the Masters, I feel like is so narrow versus someone like Min-Woo Lee, where Min-Woo might come dead last, and that's probably not something that is ever going to happen to Connors. When I think about winning, Min-Woo has the ability to execute shots from around the green that Connors simply does not, and I think that matters at Augusta.
Yeah, I think you can get so far being like a Corey Connors. I remember if you wind up, when was it? 2009 maybe, when Kenny Perry was brilliant tee to green, brilliant, hit every green. When it came to the crunch, and it just went wrong. He didn't have the recovery powers to make it last. And I think that was the year Cabrera won, and Cabrera always had this sort of magic in his wrist, didn't he? So I think a tee to green merchant can kind of top 10, top 5, but like you said, I think there's that missing bit of magic that some of these other guys have got that Connors doesn't.
And I think that would play itself out a little bit better at like a U.S. Open or a PGA Championship. Yeah. I think the Connors type is more live to win one of those than they would be at Augusta.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Min-Woo Lee has got a bit of magic in him, I think, Min-Woo Lee. So, yeah, it's like you say, are you trying to get someone who's going to finish 10th? I mean, there's the market there for the individual player, isn't it? If you want top 10, yeah, Connors, I'd go with that. But if you want the winner, then you've got to be prepared to back someone who could be absolutely useless and miss the cut.
Yeah, and that's why I felt like going with some of the long shots. Like I only have 3 bets in so far, and they're all triple digits. Like I said, I got Akshay, I got Bobby Mack, I got him at 150-1, which I felt very good about because he's like 50-1 now. And he does, like he has that sort. Like if you drop McIntyre in the middle of the pine straw and you have to ask him to bend it around 2 trees in order to get to the par 5 and 2. He's at least going to try it. He might end up in the water, but I know he can pull that shot up. A lot like Phil in a weird way. Like, I've seen him in the worst of it, and he just comes through with a shot.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I quite like the left-handed thing as well. And it's been a few years, hasn't it, since McIntyre played the Masters, but he did really well.
He's played there twice. He was 12th and 24th, I think, in his first two appearances. And he's a much better player now.
Yeah, he won the Canadian, he won the Scottish, two big events for him, and he writes a good story, doesn't he? Robert McIntyre with his dad as a caddy, and then winning his home open after Rory stole it from him the year before. Yeah, I do like him. I do. He's played well in the Open as well. I do think the Masters and the Open, even though they're so different on some levels, they're kind of the twins, aren't they, of the majors? I think the other two are kind of similar, but I think it's the extra bit of magic. It's the X factor that, you look at someone like Seve, he only won the Masters and the Open. I think they do marry up quite well. So it's not a bad idea to look at guys with good Open records, because often they play well at Augusta because they've got that bit of X factor.
For sure. I think that you need to have that little bit of magic and creativity at the Masters and the Open. Like, even take a look at someone like Cam Smith. I know he has like decent results in the U.S. Open over the years. Mainly that's just him making every single putt. Nothing really else to go along with it. But he's an Open champion. He's always played well at Augusta. He's not going to play well every single time. I think that's what people get very confused about. Even when we look at the trends, like, no matter who you look at, you're going to get bad performances in there.
Yeah. One of my trends is, you've got a better chance of playing well this year if you've not done so well the last. I think there's maybe a general feeling that it's the same 10, 12 guys who are always going to be in the top 10 at Augusta. Well, no, they do dip in and out. So it's not as clear cut as the same people all the time. So you will have other players who've got to weigh in. It's not a closed shop at the top there. And I think McIntyre is very interesting with McIntyre, I think.
I got one more to sell you on. I've been trying to sell everyone on this for about a month, and like, people are dipping their toe into the water, but they're like, there's no chance this is going to happen. I think Sergio is super live to win. Right.
Okay. So you've ignored every major he's played since he won, I guess.
Yeah, he was. I think he was what, T6 here 3 years ago.
Was he?
I think so. He had a miscut, and then he had like one pretty good performance here. But he seems like, honestly, like, from watching Live and to hear his quotes and to hear everything he's talked about, he seems like he's a serious player again. He really wants to make the Ryder Cup team.
So you backed him each way?
I backed him each way at 175 to 1.
Yeah, well, it's 175 to 1. I like the angle of former winner, now a bit long in the tooth, goes back and still got a top 10 in him. Mickelson's doing that still, and how long is he going to keep doing that for? So, yeah, I don't mind him on that angle, but I don't know if you look at Wikipedia in that little grid, and there's not much yellow after Sergio won his match.
The last major he played in, he was 12th. He was 12th at last year's U.S. Open at Pinehurst.
Well, 12th, yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, that's better than nothing, I suppose. But he does have 2 wins and coming in, and his like past 6 starts. So,
yeah.
And I mean, I backed him at one of them. It was nice to see, and just the ball striking is elite again. Neiman and Sergio are far and away, along with like Burmeister, who's not playing, are far and away have been the best ball strikers on Live. And he gets like, he's not a great putter, he's not great around the greens, but he's been good enough at Augusta that it reminds me a little bit like when Schwartzel made a run a few years ago. It was probably like 4 or 5 years ago now, and all of a sudden he was just up there. And Sergio comes in as a much better player than Charles did at that time.
Yeah, even Danny Willett played well for a round last year, didn't he, for not having played for about a year. But yeah, to be fair, Sergio it's out of sight, out of mind for me, because I've not really seen any Live golf, so I haven't got a clue. I don't know what he does anymore. But I guess looking at the results, he's doing some good stuff. But yeah, I never think, if you can get an old winner at huge odds, I don't think it's ever a bad tactic if they're showing something.
Now I need to figure out, I didn't even look at it. How old do you think Sergio is?
Well, if he was 19, was he 19 at Medina in 99, was he?
Yeah, he's 45 years old now.
Yeah, so yeah.
So he's in that Adam Scott, Justin Rose type range of maybe the better move is like Sergio first round leader, Rose first round leader. I think that Rose's first round track record at a lot of these majors is really good.
Yeah, four-time leader, isn't he, at the Masters after day one?
Yeah, so I mean, if Charlie Hoffman can figure out a way to win in San Antonio, if you just bet Hoffman or Rose, you're gonna hit a winner between the one and the two.
Yeah, all these side markets. Yeah, you don't have to like a guy and then presume, oh, I've got to think he's going to win, otherwise he's no use to me. There's lots of ways to play these guys. So yeah, Sergio would be an interesting one, but I don't know. I just think he's an example of someone who scaled the mountain and then kind of planted the flag and then thought, I'm done now. Like Darren Clarke, what do I do now? I've won my major. That's it.
Yeah, I do think that Sergio, like when we think back on him, like Sergio is going to be what, the fourth or fifth best player of his generation? I don't think we're going to say that about Darren Clarke.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
And I do think that there is the extra motivation, whether it comes to fruition or not. Like he needs to do well in some of these tournaments. If he wants to make the Ryder Cup, he doesn't have to win the Masters, but he needs to play well enough here in the PGA to get himself into the other majors in order to keep making that press. And he needs to make himself, any live guy outside of Rahm, I suppose, and Hatton need to make themselves undeniable for Europe in order to take. Like those two guys are going for sure, at least in my mind. Anyone else that's on the periphery, they need to play basically twice as good as everyone else who's in competition with them.
Yeah, I agree with the motivation angle, because if you go to the other end of the scale, maybe Dustin Johnson, who he just thinks now just spends his time on a speedboat eating sandwiches and there's no interest in anything. Whereas these guys have Ryder Cup, still got it in them, and maybe got a bit of a chip on the shoulder still on some level about, being over at Live and still wanting something to prove and still feeling a bit aggrieved at this and that, where he's not aggrieved at anything. So yeah, you've slightly talked me into some sort of look at Sergio, I have to say.
Last one I want to ask you. If I was able to create a market with even money on both sides, you're not paying any juice whatsoever, and I gave you Max Homa on one side and Fred Couples on the other, who would you take in that head-to-head this week?
So I've got lots of memories of Fred Couples. He's up there again, isn't he? Look, he's leading after... Isn't that a long, long time ago now? When has he last done anything He doesn't still make the cut there, does he still?
No, like once every 5 years, 6 years, something like that. But is that better or worse than what Max Homa's going to do?
It's a tricky one, isn't it? I'd have to say Max Homa will surely do better, I think.
Yeah, I think that would be it too. What do you have coming out for? When are you going to have your giant column coming out about the Masters, like your picks? Is that coming out on Monday?
That'll be Monday, yeah. So it's still sort of percolating in my head a little bit. I've kind of, because of the kind of format I use, I go with 3 bets in my previews. I know some guys have more than that, but I have 3. So I kind of think I've already got Henley running for me in this trends piece. So he probably won't be on there. So I'll have 3 other names. So yeah, it's still going around my head. I guess I've got a short list of, 10 maybe.
All right, who's the longest odds player on that list of 10? You don't need to spoil the column for us. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Dave Tindall Golf as well if you want to make sure you get the direct link directly to the column the moment it comes out and to check out this trends piece. But give us a little spoiler. The longest name that might be on that list.
That might be on that list. Obviously Sergio. Yeah. I keep my cards close to my chest on this one, I think.
All right, well, that's the tease for Monday then. Go check out Dave on Twitter, again, at Dave Tindall Golf, and you'll be able to find the article up there. Thanks for joining me, man. Outdoor golf season is almost here, but is your swing ready? With 126 X-Golf locations across 38 states, it's never been easier to dial in your swing year-round. I can speak to this. Go into the simulators all winter long, especially the good ones. You can go to crappy simulators. You don't want to go there. You want to go to X-Golf and really prep your game and hit the season firing. X-Golf's state-of-the-art simulators let you play full rounds, tee to green with unmatched short game realism. X-Golf's auto tee system ensures you're always ready to bomb a drive. No delays or automatic two-putts, just real, competitive golf in a lively sports bar environment. Love a little competition? X-Golf's handicap leagues and tournaments give every golfer a shot at winning incredible prizes. Upcoming spring tournaments include the Majors, where you could win a beach or mountain vacation, or the Cinco de Mayo Scramble, win a trip to New Belgium Brewery in Asheville, and that is just the start. So visit playxgolf.com to find your nearest X-Golf and book your tee time today. Again, trust me on this, you're going to want to go to X-Golf, so visit playxgolf.com. Now that the weather's heating up for almost everyone, you need to flip your wardrobe. And if you're anything like me, summertime means more outfit changes. Golf, work, gym, playground with the kids, restaurants, whatever it is that you do, it probably requires a change of clothing. What you need are shorts and pants that look the part for all those places that are actually comfortable. And that's a hard thing to do. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who's tried wearing a pair of regular golf shorts to dinner after playing earlier that day, only to have your wife tell you that you need to go change because now you're dressed like that creepy guy at the office who wears a golf shirt and golf shorts to work every single day, and it's just a real bad vibe. But here's the thing. Since I've started wearing bird dogs, hasn't said a word. They look the part for the course and everywhere else. Plus, unlike my dressier shorts, bird dogs are actually comfortable. They look the same, but they're not just chafing the inside of my thighs the entire time. I basically wear them everywhere now. And when I was at Pinehurst, a place that's really not known for the casual look, I was able to wear my bird dogs while I was playing, and then I wore the exact same shorts to the dress code steakhouse later that night. Everyone was uncomfortable as they were filling their guts with food. Not Pat Mayo, because I have my bird dogs. No issues whatsoever. And for a limited time, my listeners get a free hat with any order when you use code PATMAYO at birddogs.com. Get this hat completely free when you use code PATMAYO at birddogs.com. Show support for the Pat Mayo experience and let them know that I sent you. Let's start with Underdog. The first thing you can do to make life easy on yourself for Major Season Best Ball Draft is sign up for Underdog to play in the drafts. Do that using code Mayo. Get yourself up to $1,000 of a deposit bonus. Then you can draft all your teams with that deposit bonus. You lock up that money for the rest of the summer, hopefully, and you have a big score right after the Open Championship. And then use the rest of the money to do NFL drafts, college drafts, NFL draft fantasy props. I'm saying it right there. So let's get into it. I have a newsletter post and an article up on X right now, and I'll keep that updated the more information that we get about the players that are actually in the majors. And you'd be shocked, and this is the second year that I've been doing these drafts, that many people don't really look into this as much, and not every player you think is qualified for every major down the line. So there's a lot of guys that just haven't simply qualified for the PGA Championship yet because they pushed their date a little bit later on in the season than all of the other majors. I mean, yeah, if you're top 50 and before, but there's just so many open spots right now. So, for example, a player like Corey Connors, and I'm recording this before the conclusion of the Players' Championship, so I suppose if he wins the Players, then he would be into the PGA Championship. But he's probably going to be in either way. He's top 50 in the world. He's in the 3 other majors. He's like a 98% chance of playing in the PGA Championship unless something disastrous happens. So just know that when going through the sheet. But it's all about volume. Just like it was for the season-long drafts at the beginning of the season, you want to have as many bullets in the chamber as you can fire at every single event. Now, you might say, hey, there's really good players that only play in the PGA Championship, the US Open, and the Open Championship. They are not qualified for the Masters. Well, if you want to make them one of your late picks, sure. If you have the utmost confidence that those guys are going to perform in the other 3, but you still have to sneak yourself through to that. So the way that it's set up right now, if we jump over to Underdog, you can see that there are different contests available. The 2 that I'm going to be talking about today are this one, the Albatross, which is $10 entry. It's $150 max, $500,000 in prizes up for grabs. And then my contest, the Pat Mayo Open, only has around 800 entries in it. total. It's $25 to play, and there's $20,000 in prizes. All of that is rake-free in the Pat Mayo contest, and it's only 10 max as well. So it's going to be pretty full by the time that you're watching this right now, but there's still time to go and draft, and that's what I'm going to walk you through. The only thing that changes really in terms of the strategy between the two contests, if we're looking at it, is the qualification. So in the big contest, the $10 Albatross, you get into a group of 6 in the first. So you draft against 6 other people. The top 2 from your pod after the Masters will advance to the PGA Championship. This is where it gets tricky. You then get into a pod of 10 with the team that you've drafted. The top player from the PGA Championship of your group of 10 advances. So only 1 of 10. Then you go to a 6-person pod for the US Open. The top of 6 players in your pod advances to the 310-person final where the big money is up for grabs. I believe it's $50,000 for first place off your $10 entry. Now, in my contest, the Pat Mayo Open, the rake-free one, 2 of 6 advances, exactly the same from the Masters. So again, if you could load up for the Masters, you just want to advance. What you look like later on down the list, you can't really control that. What you can control right now are the guys that you select for Augusta and try to get as many guys from Augusta National into your lineup. Because they play well at the Masters, chances are they're going to qualify for the other majors too. So keep that in mind of the guys that only have like 2 major starts, but they're playing in the Masters and the PGA Championship, that if they play well enough that your team is doing well, they'll probably qualify for the US Open and the Open Championship and try to keep that rolling. So here's where it starts to differ. So 2 of 6 advance from the Masters to the PGA Championship. In mine, because I wanted to tweak the rules a little bit to allow more people to advance down the line, you get into a pot of 7 instead of to a pot of 10 for the PGA Championship, and the top 2 from your pot of 7 will advance to the US Open. Now at the US Open, you get resized to a pot of 4 where the top person of your 4-person group, the highest score from the US Open, will advance to the Open Championship, the finals, and 19 people will play for that final for the $3,000 top prize. Again, code Mayo at Underdog right now, get you a deposit bonus of up to $1,000. Draft that deposit bonus money. Maybe you can win $3,000 in my contest. Maybe you can win $50,000 in the main contest, and you're going to be looking pretty good. These drafts are so much fun. I'll be doing some. I'll tweet out when I'm going to be doing them, and you can do them along with me. Come take all my money because that's how it's going. But here's the big thing that I wanted to show to you right now. And again, this is going to be an article up on X. It's also in my newsletter. So Mayo Media on Substack. You can join it for free. It's down in the description. You'll have this sent to you. You can go find it in the archives right now. In fact, I might even link this particular post in the comment section. If you want to bookmark it, then I will have it updated once information changes. And the biggest movers are probably going to happen right before or after the Valero Texas Open. A few more guys getting in because of world ranking. If you win the Valero, you end up getting in. But that's pretty minuscule. We'll know basically what the field is after Houston. Then you can really start firing on some of these drafts. So if we go and take a look at it right now, let me move that over a little bit. Fix it on the screen for you good people right now. There we go. We have the players that are in all 4 majors. So we have Ludwig, Keegan, Burns, Cantlay, Wyndham Clark, Bryson, Fitz, who just broke up with his caddy, by the way. The caddy that he won the US Open with, he is no longer on the bag. I have no idea who his new caddy, as of the time of this recording, who that is going to be. Harman, Henley, Horschel, Victor is in all of the majors. Have fun with that one. Maybe he'll have his game figured out by the time Augusta comes around. Brooks, Lowry, Bobby Mack, love him at the Masters. Hideki, Rory, Phil, Morikawa, Rahm, Rai, Xander, Scotty, Cam Smith, Jordan Spieth, Sahith Theegala, and Justin Thomas are all of the players currently qualified for all 4 of the majors. You're going to see in there, barring injury, regardless of their performance at any of these. So this is a hot take. Get as many of these guys onto your teams as possible. Now, Phil might be good, might be bad. The best chance he has at doing anything this year is at the Masters because it's the course where he's won 3 times. And his game is starting to turn around a little bit on Live right now at the moment. He's not like a horrible pick, but that's where we're at in terms of the Masters guys. Now, as we go on, and you're going to find out that when you take a look at ADP, that these guys are going to be populating the first 6 rounds or so. If anyone starts falling down the list, you take them because it's just as many opportunities. You play the volume as much as you can with these guys. Now, you're going to have to make a few picks off, not necessarily off the board, but going down the board a little bit. And that's where the 3 majors and 2 majors comes into effect. I'd probably stay away from anyone who's only qualified for 1 major, even if it is the Masters. Like, I don't think you need to be rolling out Angel Cabrera, who shockingly is out of prison and flying to America to play in the Masters this year. He said that's what he's doing. So he's going from Argentina to the Masters, straight from jail. He's going to be playing at Augusta. 3 major guys that we're looking at right now. Ben An, and I have the majors listed on the page. If you're listening to the audio version of this, I have in the newsletter what majors guys are qualified for. So at the moment, when we're taking a look at it, guys that are qualified for the Masters, but not the PGA Championship at the moment. You have Ben An, Jose Luis Ballester, who is an amateur. You probably don't want to play him. Bezadenhout, Akshay, Connors, Finau. All of those guys should be playing in all 4. The most, like I said with Corey Connors earlier, all those guys should get into the PGA Championship. Hatton is playing in the Masters, the PGA Championship, and the Open. He'll have to qualify for the U.S. Open, but still a pretty good pick, especially with the way that he's playing on Live right now. Similar to Hatton, but not the PGA Championship. More similar to those guys up top. Hoagie probably won't get into the PGA Championship at the rate he's going at right now. Sungjae should. Dustin, we'll see. It doesn't seem like he's going to get in unless he has a really good Masters. Matt McCarty is playing in the first 3, which is really strange. He has a Masters, PGA Championship, and U.S. Open. He's not qualified for the Open, so he'd be a sneaky one to put on. Although he's a debutant at the Masters, you probably don't want him. Neiman is in the Masters and PGA and Open. He will have to qualify either through the Live qualification, as he's the top guy who wouldn't previously be qualified, or goes through the qualification like the longest day in golf to get into the U.S. Open. But he's in 3 of them right now and the first 2, which is key. Pavon and Pendrith are in 3. Rose is in the Masters, PGA, and the U.S. and the Open Championship. Adam Scott is not in the PGA right now. Seb Straka is not currently in the U.S. Open right now, and Davis Thompson currently isn't in the Open Championship. So from that list, like Straka's a really good play. I've already bet him to win the Open Championship. I would guess based on his world ranking that even if he came last in every single tournament, probably killing your best ball teams, but even if he came last from now until we get to the U.S. Open, he'd probably still have enough world rankings points to qualify for the U.S. Open being inside the top 50 of the world. That's like a lot of the guys on this list. Like Kirk would be off that list. McCarty would be off that list. Pavon would be off that list for the PGA Championship. I don't think that he'll probably get in. Pendrith should get in based on the performance that he's had right now. But I like Straka probably the best of this lower group of the 3 guys. Hatton, Akshay, Connors, Finau's kind of been up and down. Who knows with him? And then we go down to the Adam Scott, Seb Straka range. Like those guys are all very quality picks because they get to play it they're all playing the Masters straight up, but most of them are either in the PGA already or in the U.S. Open already. The U.S. Open ends up becoming more difficult to qualify for than the PGA Championship, but all those guys should get in by and large when you're going through it. Now, guys, with 2 majors, this is where it becomes interesting. In case you really want to take a flyer, this will be a differentiator on your teams. Most of these guys will go undrafted because they're not in. Sergio is the one I'm eyeing right away. Sergio's obviously in the Masters as a former champion. He's already accepted an invitation to the PGA Championship. So he's playing in the first 2, and he hasn't been the best player on Live, although he's won twice in his past 6 starts on Live. He's gearing up to play on the Ryder Cup team. He really wants to make the Ryder Cup team. He continues to say, I hope Luke Donald is watching. He's been in contact with Luke Donald. And I think if all things being equal and Sergio is playing good golf and he performs at the majors, that he will likely be a captain selection on the European team in New York, which would just be great drama. Sergio in New York at a Ryder Cup and still on Live, that is a recipe for getting booed off of the island. So I just would love to see him there. So I think he's going to put everything he's got into it and obviously playing great golf right now. So guys to look at from that regard, Masters and PGA that I really like. Jason Day is there. Probably not Ekro, probably not English. Sergio, either Højgaard, because I'm a slut for both of the Højgaards. Max Homa is only qualified in 2 of them. I'd probably stay far away from him at the moment. Mav McNeely is another one who's in the Masters and PGA, as is Patton Kazire. JT Poston is another one, as is Nick Taylor. So if you think that Nick Taylor can make a leap, he ends up becoming a good pick. Of the guys I just mentioned, I think I like Mav McNeely the most of that ilk, because I think he'll end up being so high up in the world right now in all of the majors. And when people only see that he only has 2 major starts in him, they are the first 2, which is helpful. So you can qualify with a good finish. You'll get your qualification in anyway. That Matt McNeely ends up becoming a pretty good selection there. Don't forget, Nikolai Højgaard was very much at the top of the leaderboard at the Masters midway through round 3 a year ago. Had a very good run at Augusta. And he'll probably end up with exemption somewhere down the line. He's playing good golf right now coming in. It's just he can't drive the ball all that well. But if you can get him at any course where it's not that driving, he has a ton of driving distance. He has 0 accuracy. So if you get him to a place that's not that penal off the tee, kind of like Augusta National, unless you're in the pine straw behind a tree, the rest of his game is good enough to persevere. I'd kind of like him at the U.S. Open if he ends up qualifying for that as well, because so few people actually hit the fairway at the U.S. Open. At least I know he's going to be way down there. So versus the Nico Echeverrias of the world, the Harris Englishes, Austin Eckroats, those guys are fine. I prefer Nikolai Højgaard to Rasmus at the moment, because Rasmus is qualified for 2, but it's the Masters and the Open Championship. He is not a lock to come into the PGA Championship field, whereas Nikolai already has his exemption. So keep that in mind. Makes Nikolai a better pick than Rasmus Højgaard. But Day is going to be drafted. Dietrich is going to be drafted. Probably he's also in the first 2. So that's really a lean you can take. I probably wouldn't draft anyone who's not in the Masters field. And just taking a look at it, like guys that are in 2 majors that aren't in the Masters right now are Richard Bland, John Daly, Patty Harrington, and Luke Clanton. And that's only if Luke Clanton stays with his amateur status. If he turns pro, he has his tour card solidified, he just has to choose to turn pro. I don't know if he's done that as of this recording yet. If he does, he's out of the Open and the U.S. Open, so he'd have to go qualify on his own. But he's pretty close to the top 50 in the world, so he might be able to get in through that route. Kevin Yu is the other one, Masters and PGA Championship. He is playing in. Ditto for Johnny Vegas. I guess I'd prefer McNeely over Nick Taylor, just because Nick Taylor's been so bad in some of these elevated events versus stronger fields that kind of worry that he's not going to put up the best performance in these. But these are the sort of picks in round 7, 8, and 9. Sergio being probably the highlight of all of these guys on my list that you're going to want to populate your team with, because they just simply will not be drafted in some of the pods. So you will move into pods. Listen, everyone's going to have Scotty Scheffler. If you have Scotty Scheffler, you advance to the pod of 7 in my pool at the PGA Championship or the pod of 10 in the big contest for major season. Well, everyone, like 9 out of 10 teams might have Scotty Scheffler on them if he wins the Masters. You know who they're not going to have? Sergio Garcia, Thomas Dietrich. These guys will be owned by maybe 1 or 2 of the teams in those. Because of the ADP right now, they're simply not being drafted. This is the key to these entire drafts. Can you find your last 3 picks? Everyone's going to have some combination of the guys that are playing in all 4 majors and those guys who are playing 3 that I mentioned that are almost assuredly going to be in the PGA Championship. It is this level of player that you have to have some faith in. It's like a lot of people who drafted Michael Kim in the season-long league. Like I wrote him up. I put him in my rankings. He was my favorite picks in pick 9 and 10. And there was him, and there was like 3 other people. Like Davis Riley didn't turn out to be a great selection. He kind of sucked. Michael Kim turned out to be great and is carrying teams through. He got you through leg 1. He's already doing well in leg 2. In order to find that sort of player that is the differentiator, it's these guys down there. And for me right now, it's Sergio. There's a bunch of guys playing in 1 major, like Denny and Minwoo are both qualified for the Masters, but nothing else. You could take a chance on one of these guys because these guys will be basically sub 10%, sub 5% drafted overall in any drafts. But if you wanted to take a gamble, I mean, obviously Minwoo is the type of player that could do it. Grazerman has taken a step back a little bit, but if he starts to heat up a little bit in either of the Texas events, then maybe you can go to Grazerman. He is a debutant at the Masters, so I wouldn't expect much from him. But like Denny McCarthy, if he has a good Masters, he can find himself in the PGA, and maybe you end up going that way. Will Zalatoris is another one. I think that, I mean, especially if you win, like if he had won the Players' Championship, again, recording it before that finishes, I don't know if he's going to do that or not. If he does, then obviously he's going to be in all the majors and be very highly drafted. If he doesn't, he might be a little out of sight, out of mind, and where he is only qualified for one of the majors, that would be a route to go. I'm kind of upset that the Burmista Mista lady is only in the PGA Championship because he qualified from his performance last year, but he might be high enough on LIV to get into the Masters and try to go play a different event to elevate his world ranking. So there's a bunch of guys you could have from down here. Not as many as you would want, but Zalatoris, I mean, Cam Young, it's shocking that Cam Young has went from coming top 10 in 6 of 8 majors to only being qualified for one. That is how poorly he has played so far. But Denny, Minwoo, Zalatoris would be the looks from the guys that are only qualified for one of the majors. Tom Kim is there as well, but I don't love him really all that much at the US Open or the PGA Championship. When we start thinking longer courses, I'd want guys with a bit more driving distance. Hence, Minwoo and hence Will Zalatoris, guys you can count on to bomb it out there. The rest of their game, that tends to be up in the air every now and then. So if you want to find this, you can find it in my newsletter or up on Twitter, and I will have this updated once I get more information and guys qualify for more of the majors. Code Mayo at Underdog right now will get you that deposit bonus of up to $1,000, and it'll get you a free pick in the Pick'em game, and you can spend some money doing the Pick'ems. But there's those 2 big contests up there right now. It is the Major Season Albatross, and it is the Major Season Pat Mayo Open Rake-Free Contest, 10 max, $25 per play. All right? I'll see you in those streets. Hit me up on Twitter if you want to do a draft, because I love doing them. Hope to see you in there. I wanted to ask you about Masters prep. Like, what are you doing this week? Like, do you have like a whole guide? Are you looking, because you mentioned that you didn't really know where you needed necessarily to miss the first time around. And now that you have a legit chance here to do something special at Augusta, that I assume it's like cram time to figure all the stuff out.
Yeah, I have a stats guy. I'm having him kind of send me his breakdown of his golf course. What he usually sends me, like what shots I need to work on, what numbers I need to work on. I texted Charlie Hoffman, who I felt like has had, a decent amount of success there. Felt like he's like leading Thursday or Friday almost there
every year,
very often there. Yeah. And so I kind of asked him like what he thought was important. Kind of mentioned some stuff, kind of short game or just like lag putting and stuff like that. I was talking to my buddy Michael Weaver, who played the Masters as an AM. Just kind of picking people's brain here and there, some of my closer friends, just to get an idea of what I want to work on. But I think for me, just certain tee shots come to mind, like 18, what I'm going to do there, because I tend to, when I get nervous, my little draw turns into a bigger draw, and you can't really start it too far offline there. So just trying to figure out some stuff there. Wanted to find some uneven lies on the golf course today to kind of simulate that a little bit. But it's at the end of the day, I think it's a lot about your mid to long irons there, and just trying to just make sure those are sharp. I felt I gained a lot of strokes approach last week. So I have a week off, but I definitely don't want to. I definitely want to keep things sharp. Obviously for next week.
When I'm thinking about the different undulations, especially on the fairway where you're never going to have an even lie, and I take a look at Masters winners and guys that have performed well at the Masters, and not necessarily like the Schefflers and the Rahms, the guys that really bomb it out there, but guys who are average distance but good at the rest of their game, like Spieth, obviously he's won, Zach Johnson has won, Steve Stricker has been excellent, Matt Kuchar has been excellent at the Masters over the years, those types of players. 3 of those guys have been pretty good at the John Deere Classic over time too. Are there any flat lies at TPC Deer Run?
Yeah. No. Yeah, there's plenty of.
I'm just wondering what it is with those guys. They win the Masters and they win that. I mean, obviously you've won it too. So here we go.
I think maybe Deer Run. It's not the most difficult golf course off the tee, I would say. There's decent amount of areas. I think it's just the guys that are good with their wedges, I think, do well at Deer Run, chipping and putting. And obviously that translates well to most any spots. But at Augusta, chipping is really difficult, mainly because of the big slopes. And you can't, I was talking, Charlie mentioned this too, where you can't really bump stuff into the rough because everything's mowed towards you. So the ball just sticks once it hits that first cut, and it's hard to bump it. So That's an additional challenge that I would say, not a lot of guys can succeed unless like I do remember like Charles Schwartzel when the year he won, he hit like the sickest chip on one with like a 6 or 7 iron. I don't remember exactly from where to where, but so you have to get a little bit more creative around the greens there, I think.
I can see that. And then you see a lot of the, like, if you think like short game specialists over the years, no matter how old they get, they retain the hands and they're still able to do it. Like, Phil is probably going to do well at the Masters again. I'm not saying Phil's going to win, but there's a reason he just continues to stick around every year. Patrick Reed has actually been, I don't know, like, he can't win on Live, he can't win on the Asian Tour, but you put him back at the Masters and all of a sudden he's just sticking everything to 2 feet from off the green again. Is that, when I talk about course knowledge, are those the sorts of things that really translate through, like knowing how to play from around the greens more so than knowing what iron shots to hit or how to shape your shot off the tee?
I would say I think the biggest part of course knowledge at Augusta, it's like at certain pins, if you're out of position, you really need to be careful of where you're going to miss it. It's not just like one spot good for all pins. It's like if you miss it, if the pin's left, like are you actually going to be even more left of the pin, or are you going to be way right of the pin? Stuff like that. Like 17, that back left corner. Back pins, you generally want to give yourself room short, but that back left pin, because the green works away from the fairway, the miss is actually, past the pin. A little long is totally fine there. So stuff like that where you really, really have to not only know where to miss it, but just commit to missing it there and be okay with it being an uncomfortable spot or where it's kind of unorthodox feel of, just being super aggressive to that weird spot or stuff like that. But I think, and if you have a short game like Patrick Reed, that guy is filthy, filthy with the wedge. So that certainly helps as well.
What are, like, so you're playing the draw. Obviously, that's always been known as the preferred shot off the tee at Augusta. Although DJ ended up winning, Rahm ended up winning. Those guys are very good. Has that changed over the course of the past, like since the last time you played to now? I know some trees fell down. Maybe the course is a little bit different where they extended it. But do you still think the draw is generally the preferred play off the tee?
I think ever since they like quote unquote tiger proofed it or basically just lengthened the golf course, like I don't think it's not as nearly as big of a deal as it used to be. Like 13, I think you can get away with hitting a pretty straight shot all the time there. Like 2, you can basically get away with a pretty straight shot. The draw is a bit overblown in my opinion. Like you said, like Nicholas, Tiger, Rom, DJ, like all those guys mainly hit cuts for the most part, and did totally fine. I think your mid to long iron game has to be just spectacular for you to win out there. That which is, I think, the more important thing as opposed to being able to just curve it one direction, one way.
Thinking about going to the course, and obviously you're going to get your practice rounds in, what do you think are the most difficult tee shots at that course?
One is hard without the fact that it's the first tee shot of the Masters at Augusta National. I would say 7 is actually pretty tricky. The fairway slope's pretty good left to right, and if you miss it on the right side, it generally will roll into kind of that first cut, and then you have to hit somewhat of a pretty big cut around the trees to get to the green, which with like a 8 iron or 7 iron, which might not be as easy. I would say obviously 13 is pretty tricky just because like you have all the world to the right, but if you want to make birdie, you kind of have to take on the creek a little bit. Um, Other than that, it's not 18 for sure. Um, if you pull it a little too much, you push it a little too much, and it catches one of those tree limbs, like you're looking at double pretty quickly. Um, I'd say those are probably the toughest tee shots.
And what do you think is the toughest? I mean, it could even be a par 3, but when you're sitting there with a long iron in your hand, what's the most, you just look at it and be like, I don't know where this is going to land. Like, how do I even get this close?
Like 11 comes to mind a ton.
Oh, yeah.
Mainly is, not just like actually to me, almost the easier pins are the ones tucked on the left, because you miss it right, you have some room to get up and down. The one there's I think there's like a front right one where it plays shorter, but there's those big mounds on the front right of the green there, where like if you have it curving right to left and you land it right of the pin, right of the green, but it creams off that mound, like it definitely goes into the water. So now you're like, all right, like where am I going to miss this? And then 15, like especially that left side. I know TV, the leaders always hit that green too, it seems like. But like that green looks tiny from the fairway, and you're just like, please just land somewhere in grass and stay there, please.
Yeah, that would work out. I'm thinking about the par 3s. Is the short par 3 the hardest one?
12. I mean, 12. I know obviously it gets a lot of news or highlight. It gets highlighted often just because everyone's seen it go into the water a ton. 12, I think it's just, you just kind of have to get a little lucky with the wind. But as long as you hit it, within those two bunkers, it's okay. Obviously, 7, or was it 6? 6 can get pretty difficult.
Yeah.
Number four is a
tough.
monster.
Yeah.
4 is a monster. But yeah, 4 is a monster. It's like 230, 240, sometimes into the wind. It's shallow. You can't read that bunker on each side. It's not the easiest up and down. They put it on that back tier. It's like 4 steps long, and you're just trying to hit the green, and if the wind swirls wrong and you go way long or way short, you're screwed. So 4 is a beast for sure.
If it's into the wind and it's 240, what are you hitting off the tee?
I think most tournaments, if it's into the wind, they'll probably move it up. So you're at least not hitting 7 wood or 5 wood or 3 wood. If it's 240 into the wind, I mean, if it's like really hard, I'd probably, my 3 wood lands about 265. So I'd probably hit that one. But then you're legitimately just like playing for like 3.5 at that point, where you're just trying to get out there with par or bogey and move on to the next hole, because it's so hard.
Yeah, over the past 5 years, it's the third hardest hole on the course, 3.26. So playing for 3.5 probably isn't the end of the world. Just take your medicine there, move on, don't make the big number. I think that 12 gets all the pub because that's where the big numbers come into play.
Correct. It's like you hit into the water, then you're dropping it like, back somewhere, 80 yards or whatever. And you're just kind of in shock almost. You're like, wow, I hit it in the water with a 9-iron or whatever. And that wedge shot isn't easy. The next one, because you're like, oh, what's the wind doing now? Or, where am I going to land this? And so, it's that's definitely where obviously doubles and triples get made.
All right, so Masters. Pricing is out. I have not looked at it as of yet. I have just brought it up on the screen in front of me. I want to help me build a gut reaction lineup to the Masters. All right.
Let me go find it real quick, because
Sergio, McIntyre, Akshay. That's how I want to start my lineup. What am I left with here? $9,000 per player. You got Scheffler, Rory, Ludwig, Morikawa, Rahm, all above 10,000. Bryson, Xander, Thomas, Hideki, Brooks, Neiman, Hovland, Fleetwood, Spieth in the 9K. I really like Lowry at the Masters, by the way.
What? I think it's Lowry's birthday today.
Sweet. Fuck, I wish I liked Hideki a little bit more. Hideki needs to show me something this week that he can hit a fucking iron.
Well, assume that he does, and then you got the lineup.
There it is. So that would be my gut reaction lineup. If Hideki's any good, it's Sergio, Bobby Mack, and Akshay, Lowry, Minwoo, and Hideki.
I'll know it if it wins because nobody else in the world is playing that lineup until now when people play it because you talked about it. But yeah, Sergio and some of these guys mixed together. I like it though. That's a good way to do it.
So I want to scan this to see who. I think actually the Masters is up on Fantasy National too. Yeah. Let me re-up the page. I think Moose just texted me that he uploaded all of the DraftKings pricing, but he could be a liar on that. Who knows? Let's see. Masters.
It's actually pretty solid. They did Scotty's at 12-4, Rory's 11-1. I mean, that's going to be a discrepancy for sure because people, again, unless this injury news picks up or whatever, but just breaking down, now you do get the 10K range, which we didn't get when Rory and Scotty played last week. And then it's still only keeping them in the sixes. So if you have any interest in your boy Kevin you can play him for 6,300. Or Adam Schenk. Adam Schenk's going to win this week and then come out next week and be chalk at 6,300.
We don't have that as and there's no 5K range here, is there?
No, none.
So I'm trying to think if I build a Scheffler, I'm just seeing if Scheffler Rory lineups are viable whatsoever.
No.
I mean, they are and they aren't. I mean, they aren't, but let's see.
Unless Max Homa remembers how to golf again and some other guys come along with it, it's a tough scene when you go down there.
I think you go Highsmith and McCarty just based on the fact that they're both lefties and lefties do well. Just take them. They're both 6,300. And then you can get back up to reasonable players if you want to.
Usually I have FOMO when you start talking about this shit. And I'm like, maybe I should play this one. No worries. Just, keep entering. Go ahead.
Then you can throw Phil into it for $6,700.
My God.
I'm trying to see who the other guys would be. Like, just don't play Brian Harmon at the Masters. He's terrible. Dietrich's at 60. Dietrich at 69 is the best value I've seen on the board so far. Just scrolling through this as first look, I think that he's going to be pretty good at the Masters. And Sergio at 71 is Sergio at 71 will be very highly owned, I think.
What about
I'll throw Adam Scott in because Adam Scott hasn't missed a cut at the Masters in 15 years.
Yeah, well, you can do like a pretty cool former winners lineup, starting bottom up.
Starting with Mike Weir?
No. I'm talking like the Patrick Reed, Dustin Johnson range, and then your boy Sergio or Scott. Like you got some other guys in there that you can play, but some of those guys would make sense. They just play well here. It doesn't really matter. I know everyone thinks they're dead now, but it's whatever. That's not the worst.
As someone who's already recouped a lot of money on Phil Mickelson so far in 2025, I don't think that he's by any means dead here.
No, I'm good with that. What
So
does that let us get here? Oh, I got it. I got this one. This is a lineup worth entering. I'm going to enter this.
All right, let's hear it.
You go Scotty, Spieth, and then you close it out with Dustin Johnson, Patrick Reed, Sergio Garcia, and your boy Lefty.
I mean, out of all those guys, I like everyone on that. Now watch the dude win besides DJ.
Of course, but it's DJ. It's Dustin Johnson. Whatever happens. I really miss Dustin Johnson, actually. I want to watch more Dustin Johnson. I want Dustin Johnson to make a run at the Masters. I want to see DJ back more than I want to see Bryson continue, more than I want to care about Rahm doing anything. I would love to see DJ come back and play well. I don't know why. I just would.
I'm going to take DJ out of your former winners lineup and throw in Adam Scott instead.
Big mistake.
He's a former winner.
Yeah, I know.
And I don't even like him this week, but I was looking at the other former winners around this range, and there are none.
That was the tricky part for me too. But you could have taken Pat Reed down to Adam Scott as well.
Who is the best value on the board here? People will say it's Henley at 84. I could see him getting jammed. I'm now seeing people. Dave Tindall tipped him as not as his pick, but he did this trend line, and the two best players they tied for all the points that he gave out. It was Rory and Henley, and because Americans have won so often over the past 10 years, he gave the tiebreak to Henley for that. And Cust is saying now that Henley could win the Masters. I've just been seeing this go around. He's only $8,400. I'd rather play Connors, McIntyre, Bhatia, and Zalatoris, Minwoo, and Hatton around him, and Lowry.
So the thing is, Sung J M is by far the most disrespected at 7,300. But do you think Dan Berger Daniel B. Berger gets the love at 7,100, especially after he wins this week for everybody. Big community win.
If he wins, I mean, if Rose wins this week, if whoever wins this week is just going to get that inflated bump. I remember when it happened to JB Holmes when he was like $7,100 or something. Then he came in as the third highest owned guy that year. So yeah, if Berger, I mean, win or lose, I'm going to like Berger here anyway. I've always liked him at Augusta, his game for it. And now he does seem to be getting back to where he should be. But I love Sergio at 71. I really like Reed at 73. Reed's been really good at the Masters over the past 4 years, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Like shockingly good. And that doesn't include his win at the Masters.
Well, it's what we know, though. This is the tournament. People just play well. Like, whoever plays well. And what do you get? Like, what are people going to do with Connors at 7,900 after he has another good Valero? Whether he wins it or not is up to, fate. We'll see. But I think in general, Connors is going to play well enough here in Texas. And he always is popular at the Masters. And they kept him at the best buy pricing of $100 less at 7,900.
Well, when we just to take a look at Connors for a second, and we've updated Fantasy National, by the way, fantasynational.com/Mayo for that 20% off. Get the weekly today, get Valero and the Masters with all the strokes gain numbers and just kind of to go back through time. He's actually been kind of disappointing at the Masters over the last little bit. Like he's been 38th miscut the past 2 years after his like top 10 run for 3 years in a row. Not saying he's not going to get back there. And if he comes in with a win, but if he comes in with a win or a top 5, then all of a sudden we're projecting Corey Connors at 20% owned. I'm good taking a pass at the Masters.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't think others will. They'll just, discredit those last 2 years. It doesn't matter. And the form coming in, because just looking at it, I don't know who it would be, but maybe if you think Henley gets steam, I think Connors and Berger could get steam. That leaves you almost 8,900. Who's another guy in the sevens that you think would be popular as of right now?
So should you throw me those names again so I can visualize this on the screen?
Yeah, you can throw it up. That's perfect. Connors, 7,900, assuming he plays well this week. Berger, 7,100, assuming he plays well this week. And then Henley, for the reasons you mentioned. He's an average price tag, basically. The trends. I know that you can't spell trend without end, but he is going to pop up because of that at 8,400. So who's another guy so that we can start picking from the big boys? Not that we like, but that who you think others would like right now. Is it Adam Scott at 7,200?
I don't think so, because he hasn't been playing well enough.
Okay.
I'm trying to think chalk-wise. A lot of it will hinge on this week. Like if Rose puts out another top 10, everyone's going to be all over Rose.
So let's just put the $7,200 price tag. Maybe it's Rose. People always like them. Some Adam Scott. They're, you got opportunity. Yeah, I think that's good. Now you have 9,700.
It's no different. It's no different as well. Like if Cam Young plays well this week, everyone will be back in on Cam Young. If it is, who the hell was I just looking at? If Sam Burns comes like T3 this week, $7,400. Like so much of that is going to be just projected on. If Keegan wins, I hope he wins because I bet on him to win. He's $7,000. He would go in here. But for the pricing, we'll throw Rose in. Regardless of what happens to Rose this week, I like him as first round leader at the Masters. I like him at first round leader at almost every major. Dude shows up in the first round at majors.
Yeah, I agree. I do like that call. Do you like this lineup rounded out with Rahm and Spieth or Bryson and Hideki?
I am very anti-Bryson at the Masters, unless we get a weather report that it's going to rain, and then I would love Bryson at the Masters. I spoke about this when I was on Fairway Rolling on the Ringer last night, that so much of Bryson's success a year ago just came with how wet it was the first 2 days, that he was able to stop his ball on the green, which he is not able to do, as we saw on Saturday and Sunday, once it dries up a little bit. Like his short game just isn't good enough. It's good at certain places, like at US Opens and PGA Championships, but this style of like feel around the green, he just doesn't have any touch around the green. If you can like bank it into the side, like at Pinehurst, I just played Pinehurst. I can see how he did so well. There's not a lot of like magic you need to do. It's a very simple science formula. You're like, if I hit it here onto the slope with this much force, it's going to pop up to here and then stop on the flat part and roll down. And Bryson's such a good putter that he can get away with leaving it 8 feet short and make the putts. He's not Rory, who leaves it 3 feet short and then misses the putt. But here, you need to be able to break out Phil flops from like 38 yards away to land it up on that tier so it slowly rolls down this way. Like, and that's why Reed ends up doing so well. Like the short game magic is a real thing at Augusta. And I think the calculations of Bryson just work better at other courses.
Yeah, that's why I like the Rahm Spieth, for example. You talked about the Reeds, the guys that know it. Phil's the guy. You saw Freddie Couples and Bernhard Langer that year. I know it's a few years now, but like there was that year. What were they both sitting top 20 going into Sunday, like Phil can definitely do it if he's on for the week. He knows what he's doing and could be up there in the mix for a $6,700 price tag. It's very possible.
I think I know that Ludwig just came second. Maybe he's so good that he overcomes. Maybe Bryson is so good that he overcomes. But don't forget that Ludwig gained 8 strokes putting last year at the Masters. That's a very atypical Ludwig performance. Willie Z has done the same thing at the Masters. For whatever reason, you get him on these greens and he has them figured out. No other greens in the world does he have figured out, but at Augusta, he's got them figured out. And maybe Ludwig's on that same train as well. I think that Rahm is going to be the best play on the board.
Yep. I closed it out with Rahm Spieth, so I like that.
You could go Rahm Spieth, or you could go, I would prefer Rahm Lowry, but that's me.
Well, you could also play Ludwig Minwoo.
Oh, I mean, I really like I bet Minwoo at the Masters 2 years ago when he drove number 3 and then 4-putted for bogey. That was fun. But he actually rebounded quite nicely last year, I think.
You gave me a nice one-liner. Win Moo, cash cow. That's perfect. That's your cash cow. Win Moo Lee. You got it.
Where is Minwoo? I'm still looking at the Valero field. That's why. Masters field. Let's switch over to Masters field and see how this goes. Now I can run the entire thing here, I think. So Minwoo at the Masters last year. Where are we at? Minwoo Lee. Oh, Min Che Choi is a guy that we have. Keep putting your questions in the chat right now. Tambo and I are going to get those momentarily. He won in Houston last week. That's really good. He's been gaining so much on putting and losing off the tee. It's really strange. Masters, 22nd miscut, 14th in his 3 appearances. It's pretty good. I think he could win the Masters, weirdly enough.
Minwoo?
Yeah. Like he fits the proper trends to win the Masters. He has the right game for the Mayo. You want to talk about like touch and feel? He has touch and feel.
Yeah, he's an option for sure.
Yeah, and I like him as if he's going. I don't know how popular he's going to be coming off the win because I think a lot of people will look at his win and be like, "Man, he was real shaky down the stretch," which is true. But that might just put more people onto Henley instead of Minwoo.
You can play them together as well.
That is true. Let's build one more and we'll do that. We'll go Minwoo Henley. Although I like Zalatoris as the pivot there as well, the up and down. The 2 guys on the other side of Henley, I like better than him, so I want to build it that way. Minwoo Zalatoris.
Let's go Minwoo Zal.
Rory?
I was thinking like the short game magic you were talking about. If you just stay like between putter and short game magic, let's fit it in. What else? Because we still have 8,300 per. So who's the guys down low that you talk about? Reed. And then do you want to stick with Rhodes or do you want to go to somebody else here, like Sergio or something like that? Because
I don't know. I want to go Reed, then Lowry, and then see what we do with the rest of it.
Okay.
So Reed, then Lowry. I mean, Berger has the short game magic.
So how much does that get us? Berger's the same as Sergio and gets us to Bryson, which we don't really want. So who do you want? You like Rahm has it, but then it leaves lefty. Rahm lefty.
Oh,
the ASU connection, baby. Get it in there.
I have so many live guys in my lineups already.
That's the only time we get to play them. I actually don't. I will say this though. I don't think it's a thing. Like I know, I don't think they're going to pick up too much steam because of that, just because you don't get to play them any other time. I know we're talking about it, but a lot of it just fits because they play well at this particular course. It may not work at all the majors. People say, oh, it didn't work this year at the Masters, this previous year that they'd be talking about. But I think it does just fit when you come down to some of the stuff that these guys do fit in and make sense. And we're not all in. We have Minwoo Lee, Will Zalatoris, and Shane Lowry. But that's a nice lineup, Pat. I like that one.
All right. I really want Bryson to win this week because I bet on him to win and Rahm to come like 3rd. And then Bryson's got all people will hear is like, oh, Bryson just won on live. He's in great form. Remember that happened to Brooks and then he actually was great at the Masters.
Yes.
And maybe Bryson will end up being the same way. But Bryson, if he wins on live this week, might be the highest owned guy.
That'll be interesting because I think there's a ton of options around him here.
I agree. I would full fade Bryson if that was the case.
Can you go back to the lineup you just made and look at Phil's picture on DraftKings? Oh, you got it up on the screen. Leave it.
Oh, where is it?
Oh, go. You should go back to it.
Oh, yeah. Poor play, man. They're doing lefty bad, man. He's been on Ozempic long enough. He looks better than that now.
Look at Will Zalatoris' skinny face, and then look at Phil Mickelson just taking up the whole blob and then chinned out, triple chinned, everything. They got Phil. They're doing lefty really bad on this.
Yeah, if you went to live, Minwoo even looks like a lot. I mean, maybe it's just a very close up on his face. Minwoo in this picture looks fatter than Lowry does somehow.
Yeah, how is Lowry's face so skinny? It's crazy.
Outdoor golf season is almost here, but Is your swing ready? With 126 X Golf locations across 38 states, it's never been easier to dial in your swing year-round. I can speak to this. Going to the simulators all winter long, especially the good ones. You can go to crappy simulators. You don't want to go there. You want to go to X Golf and really prep your game and hit the season firing. X Golf's state-of-the-art simulators let you play full rounds, tee to green with unmatched short game realism. X Golf's auto tee system ensures you're always ready to bomb a drive. No delays or automatic two-putts, just real, competitive golf in a lively sports bar environment. Love a little competition? X Golf's handicap leagues and tournaments give every golfer a shot at winning incredible prizes. Upcoming spring tournaments include the Majors, where you could win a beach or mountain vacation, or the Cinco de Mayo Scramble, win a trip to New Belgium Brewery in Asheville, and that is just the start. So visit playxgolf.com to find your nearest X Golf and book your tee time today. Again, trust me on this. You're going to want to go to X Golf. So visit playxgolf.com. Now that the weather's heating up for almost everyone, you need to flip your wardrobe. And if you're anything like me, summertime means more outfit changes. Golf, work, gym, playground with the kids, restaurants, whatever it is that you do, it probably requires a change of clothing. What you need are shorts and pants that look the part for all those places that are actually comfortable. And that's a hard thing to do. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who's tried wearing a pair of regular golf shorts to dinner after playing earlier that day, only to have your wife tell you that you need to go change because now you're dressed like that creepy guy at the office who wears a golf shirt and golf shorts to work every single day, and it's just a real bad vibe. But here's the thing. Since I've started wearing Bird Dogs, hasn't said a word. They look the part for the course and everywhere else. Plus, unlike my dressier shorts, Bird Dogs are actually comfortable. They look the same, but they're not just chafing the inside of my thighs the entire time. I basically wear them everywhere now. And when I was at Pinehurst, a place that's really not known for the casual look, I was able to wear my Bird Dogs while I was playing, and then I wore the exact same shorts to the dress code steakhouse later that night. Everyone was uncomfortable as they were filling their guts with food. Not Pat Mayo, because I have my Bird Dogs. No issues whatsoever. And for a limited time, my listeners get a free hat with any order when you use code PATMAYO at birddogs.com. Get this hat completely free when you use code PATMAYO at birddogs.com. Show support for the Pat Mayo experience and let them know that I sent you. Today we are doing two drafts. One, me, Geoff, and Tim Andergust.
Tim Andergust.
Not my name.
Are going to draft along with Paul and Jared to draft 8 players snake-style fashion for the majors only this year. Now, if you want to participate in a majors-only draft, which is just 4 tournaments, by the way, I know the players is the 5th major, but that one doesn't count. You can go to Underdog right now, and you can draft against 5 other people. There are 2 contests still open. One's $50 to play in, one's $10 to play in. There's $50,000 to first prize. You just go into the Underdog lobby under PGA, boom, majors-only draft. I have a video on it. I have the strategy article in the description right now if you want to check that out. So use code Mayo at Underdog right now. Get yourself a deposit bonus of up to $1,000 and you can draft yourself. But Tim, I thought it would be fun to, before Masters Week actually gets here, to make some picks for the whole year.
Yeah, I don't hate this idea. It sounds like fun.
Tim doesn't hate the idea, Geoff.
Well, it's like, will I get credit for my good picks the way like I've gotten 0 credit for having a perfect Final Four bracket? Probably not.
Paul was waiting. How long that would you have a perfect bracket, do you?
A perfect Final Four bracket.
Yes.
I picked the Final Four correctly, and not so much as an iota of credit from anybody. But that's fine. You know, it's not the first time that I've done something on this show to be perfect, i.e., a perfect Survivor season and gotten 0 credit. It's not the first time I've done many things here that perfectly and gotten no. People always remember where I went wrong, but no one ever remembers where I went right. That's fine. That's okay. I'm sure I'll do fine here too.
I mean, your bold take of picking all the 1 seeds to advance to the Final Four is pretty impressive.
It is
Tim.
bold.
I'm giving
happened one time in the history of the tournament. It is
So
bold.
the 1 year, like you finally did it after doing it for 20 straight years, it nailed. Congrats.
I don't do it every single year.
How you doing in your bracket?
Okay.
I'm doing okay.
You better have the tiebreakers. set.
Who do you have winning then?
The Blue Devils
Over who?
What's the tie? Whoever wins
over Florida.
there's a tiebreak. Like all the brackets this year are going to tiebreakers. So whatever that is, guess the score of the final game or total seeds, something that you did. No one is winning this year without the tiebreakers. But yeah,
I'm not
it is-
even in the competition. I just wrote out my bracket myself.
Yeah, of
So
course you are.
then how do you know how you're doing in a bracket competition if you're not even
What?
in one?
You asked me how I'm doing. You asked me how I'm doing in my bracket. I'm doing quite well with my bracket.
Well,
vis-a-vis
I mean-
previous years.
You're not even playing in anything.
This is so disturbing. Honestly, before we started recording, Tim seemed like, you're pretty intense, and I can see why. Like, we're 20 seconds in, and you had to drop the hammer.
Well,
What
because if
else?
I didn't, it wasn't coming up.
We had actually made plans to bring it up and congratulate you, but you had to really reach for it, didn't you?
Well, I'm just asking for all I want is what I've got coming to me.
No, you're
So
not.
what
You're not.
was-
You're
what
not.
is
You're
your
not
plan-
asking. Hold on. You're not asking for shit. You're demanding shit.
Well, it just seems like I don't get many opportunities to do so.
So what's your claim? You like draft a guy tonight who wins the Masters, and we're not going to give you credit? Like that was your preemptive claim because of this?
Maybe something like that.
I didn't even know. I didn't even know about your bracket.
Okay, well, I guess I can excuse you.
Have you
for your
tweeted
ignorance.
about it?
No,
What do you
it was
want?
mentioned. It was mentioned. People knew.
He just told me. He texted me.
Yeah,
He's
and
like,
you mentioned it on your show.
And it's not even that you said you were picking it. You said, would it be a bold take if I took all the 1 seeds? We're like, no, it would not be a bold take if you took all the 1 seeds. But you got it right, so that's good.
Yes, thank you.
Congratulations.
Good
I
that.
feel people go out of their way to give you credit when it's deserved.
Some people do, but none was coming, and I was like, why am I not getting my credit? Where is it?
How long have you been sitting on this? You've been stewing for the past 24 hours?
No, I'm not stewing. I have better things to do with my time than stew about this kind of stuff. It just occurred to me.
Like play Mario Kart on the Wii?
Look, I am so bad at that, but it was fun anyway. I played it for the first time in forever. I was so bad at it.
So you didn't win?
Won like one race.
Did you get the blue shell when you were in last place and you're like, I don't know if I should use it or not, so you just held on to it the whole time?
No, but what I'm real good at doing is getting bullets. That is a real talent.
Doesn't mean you're in last.
Yeah, you have to be
Or
like, not only are you in last, you're in last by a lot.
No, not necessarily. You don't even have to be in last to get a bullet. You can get it in 11th or 10th.
We play Mario Kart as like a family on the Switch. It's a good, it works. Kids love it. My wife's into it.
I mean, part of the reason I think I didn't do as well is because the Wii controller I had didn't have the safety strap, so I didn't feel as confident as I usually do. I like to put that strap around my wrist. Because, like, you're making intense turns to the right, turns to the left, turns to the right, and I'm always concerned it's going to go flying out of my hands, and so I felt like I had to throttle down a little bit because I didn't have the safety strap on. I'm not using that as an excuse, but I'm just saying I think I might have done better had I had my strap.
Well, you get your strap on, you'll be good to go, pal.
You know what I'm saying.
I do. We're going to be doing our official Masters picks on Monday's show. Jeff and I will have the entire breakdown. And Tim will come on to tell us his 3 guys who are going to win the Masters potentially and 3 who will not. Have no chance of winning the Masters. I assume Laurie Cantor's just in the chamber already.
Laurie Cantor is in the Masters?
He got himself. He played well enough to get himself in.
I would prefer him not to do that well.
So Laurie Cantor, let's write that one down. What we're doing today is doing the draft. As I mentioned, they're up on Underdog right now if you want to do them for big money, but we're doing one just to talk about some guys and see who you like. I have our hat available for us to see who gets the first pick, the second pick, and the third pick. So the first pick is going to go to Tim Undercust.
It's not my name.
You get the first pick of the draft. The second pick of the draft goes to, I took 2 out at the same time.
Are we drafting for like the 4 majors or just the Masters?
Just the 4 majors.
Yeah, just the 4 majors.
Yeah, Jared and Paul get the second pick. I get the third pick. And Jeff, you get the last pick. So you get the turn. You get 4 and 5.
I think this can work for me. I have a feeling this is just going to turn in. I mean, Pat, high probability.
Tim only takes live players?
I take live. Well, after his first pick, his rest of his team will be live players, and I just take my favorite players. And you and Paul and Jared are just having a real draft against each other.
Oh, I'm just going to take dudes that I like too. Come on now.
All right, let's go.
All right, so let's do this. Tim, you are on the. How about this? How about everyone smashes the like? in subs to Mayo Media Network. We're almost at 50,000 subs. We could use more. We got 10 days of Masters coverage starting on Thursday. I'm giving away a $5,000 trip to Toronto where you can see all of us in person at the PME live show. It has 2 days of tickets to the Canadian Open, airfare, hotels, and 2 tickets to the Blue Jays game where if Jared was recording before we started, you'll hear Geoff talk glowingly about this new section at Skydome for 8 minutes or something.
It was like 2 minutes, but I saw. I was one of the cooler things I've seen in a venue in a long time.
So
That's all.
if you live in Canada and you live outside of Ontario, you are eligible for this giveaway. I wish more people could be involved, but this is the way that it has to go per regulations. You hit the description right now. You get a link to CoolBet that's down there. It brings you to the drop page for the Pat Mayo Experience giveaway, that $5,000 giveaway that I talked about. If you ever wanted to support the show and potentially win a free trip for 4 days in Toronto, this is what I would want you to do. This is how you support the show right now. For every $10 that you bet on Valero, Masters, and Heritage, you get 1 ballot in the random draw giveaway to see who ends up winning. You tell your friends about this. They bet on sports, and you live in Saskatchewan or Alberta or Nova Scotia or anywhere outside of Ontario, boom, you get yourself in that draw. You can find the direct link in the description to the pod and video right now. But I'm going to be giving away more money for everyone because I know that's a bit inclusive, but that's the rules that we have to go with. So I'll be giving away some cash giveaways, some merch giveaways, whatever it might be. So sub to the channel, smash the like, and you rate our teams down in the description once we're done. You tell me who has the best team in this draft. Cuss, kick it off. There's one pick.
The smart and the right pick is Rory, but I'm going to take Scheffler.
Scheffler is the first pick, man.
I'm not sure. Based on how he's been playing this year, I think it's probably Rory, but I will take Scheffler anyway.
Wow,
I don't like that pick.
I can tell you.
The only reason not to take Rory is because this is the only reason to not take Rory here is that he's doing a major to do well here. He's not going to do that.
That is actually not true. If Rory came second in all of the majors, you would most definitely have the best player.
Yeah, maybe so. Anyway, I'll take Scheffler. I'm not so sure it's the right pick, but I'm going to take him anyway.
So
This is me taking San Francisco last year in our football draft with the first round pick, knowing it probably wasn't the right pick, but feeling compelled based on win totals to do it.
You might end up being right if Scotty doesn't end up winning, but it's not like Scotty's playing poorly at the same time too. But in the underdog drafts right now, he is the consensus first. It's him, then Rory, an ADP of 1, an ADP of 2, and then it goes off the board a little bit. Those are the first 2 picks in every single draft in that order. Scotty.
I'm just not going to get the guys I like when I take Rory. When I take Scotty here, that I don't pick again for a while, but it is what it is.
You only have there's only 4 of us in the draft. You're going to get a lot of the guys that you want.
Anyway,
I mean, what's Scotty's floor in the major? 7th place?
Well, I mean, he had one really bad major.
When?
Like, what did he do at the Open Championship? Didn't he play relatively poorly?
I don't remember, to tell you the truth, what he did. No, he didn't. He shanked that.
He was kind of there late.
Yeah, he shanked that shot on the par 3. It was like the first time he didn't hit the ball off the center of the club.
Which one did he not finish?
I think he sucked, right?
Yeah, one of them he didn't finish that great at.
Pinehurst.
Was it Pinehurst?
Yeah, because he didn't like. He likes the rough.
Yeah, it's true.
He likes to know what he's getting. He's good at figuring out what he's getting with the rough. He didn't like the native Pinehurst. It really fucked him up. He even did good when he got arrested, but he was horrible at Pinehurst, I think.
Yeah, he was T41 at Pinehurst. And as someone who just played Pinehurst, I can tell you, not a whole lot of rough around that course. Vicious dogs, though. Watch out for them. They'll bite you right in the hand. Terrible stuff. So Scheffler goes as the first overall pick. Again,
I would have been so terrified if that was me.
I mean, I was terrified when a dog attacked me out of nowhere too, Tim. I think the initial reaction is to be terrified of that.
I mean, I was terrified when that fox ran after my putter a couple of years ago and you all laughed at me.
That was outrageous.
I ran away because I was afraid and someone else went and got my putter for me later.
Thank you.
There we are.
I wasn't going. Terrified.
So Costa's taken Scheffler as the first overall pick. We will need someone to score this for us, by the way, just like we do for the one and done. We'll do total cash, like total prize money one, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right, so we'll do that. Jared and Paul, you're on the clock with pick number 2.
I liked Rory. I was going to take Rory. And now I like him even more because Tim tried to pick him but didn't pick him. It's the summer of Rory. It's incoming right now. He's in great form, everything like that. Like, couldn't be happier with how that played out for Team PJ. We're calling that Team PJ over here.
I mean, if you end up winning this, maybe you get a private jet out of it. I don't know. Then you're really Team PJ.
Is there money on the line?
No, there's no money on the line for this because then we would need Tim to pay us.
That's fair.
No, not
Took
gonna
a
do
while after that Bills division.
You got your money.
I did get my money.
So that puts me on the clock at number 3. Even when I was doing the underdog drafts, Geoff, I found that this was by far the worst pick because you have this whole collection of guys that you're just praying wins a major. Like in the ADP right now, it's Colin, Ludwig, and Xander are some combination of the next 3 picks. Then it's like Rom and Bryson and Brooks, Justin Thomas, Hideki. Like that's where everyone's going. I'm just going to stick with Morikawa. I don't think that he's going to win a major, but I just can, like, even like last year, he came top 20 in all 4 majors, top 10 in 3 of them. But you just need a bunch of money to go on through. Maybe you get lucky and he ends up winning one, but a few top 5 finishes at majors are going to be good for me. I'm taking Morikawa.
You set it up perfectly for me. You
Go ahead.
sniped Meghan Markle. Now this becomes pretty easy. Ludwig and Xander. We'll give Xander will get the first round pick credential though. Ludwig.
I already wrote it down. And
Okay.
Ludwig is your first round pick.
Sure, I mean it doesn't matter. It's the ladder. Ludwig, Xander. Let's go. I like this. I think 4 seemed like is a pretty solid pick to land, but when Tim adds 2 bodies at once, his team will look the best, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean it's a good pick. Do you like Xander at all for these majors? Tim
Yeah.
coming off the Marilyn Manson surgery?
He won 2 majors last year, of course.
I mean, if this isn't a draft for last year's majors, it's for this year's majors.
No, I appreciate that. But yeah, no, I think that's a perfectly strong pick.
Floor is high. He comes with the confidence of being a major champion. The Masters, he had a couple quality runs. I know Hideki was a second place. There might have been another second place, but I know at least one second place there. The floor is, I mean, I guess all these guys, the floor is pretty freaking high. But it looked like the ball striking was finding its way back, especially the simulator sessions. So, I think he'll be good. I'd actually argue if the number drifts, I could see myself doing something after last year's Masters I'd never do again. So maybe we'll do it.
Maybe you'll jump back on board the Xander train. He did lead the field in approach at the Valspar the last time we saw him. Although even before his injury, and maybe that was what was affecting him, this rib problem. But he hasn't really driven the ball well at all this year, which is kind of a problem for Augusta.
Yeah, you hope he's just got enough reps back in there that it's worked itself out.
Nice. So we're into the second round. That gives me my second pick. Cust, I'm stealing one of your guys off the hop. I'm taking John Rahm with my second pick of the second round.
Understandable. Why not?
That's exactly.
It's the second best player in live right now.
If you would you have drafted Neiman before Rahm?
I didn't say that. I just said he's the second best player in live.
So you're not in the business of drafting the best players. You're in the business of drafting the second best players.
I think you could stand here and say Bryson's the best player on live.
I think that's hard to do. I think Bryson's very good, obviously. But I think that very clearly Rahm is the best guy on live.
I don't think it's very clearly. I think there was a time where that was true. I'm not so sure anymore.
The floor is high on live too, Geoff. In 4 live starts so far this season, Rahm is T5, T6, T6, T2. That's only against like 13 other players, but whatever.
He's been playing well.
As I said, talking to you on the Monday show, Pat, where we previewed Texas Valero Open. Yeah, that's the tournament. Oh, wow. It's all a blur already. That I think this should be, I'm really excited to see, I want to see Rahm show some life at Doral. I'm excited to see Liv getting what I assume is the primetime Fox coverage. This is the first pick. It's Rahm. He was defending champ last year with the dinner and all of it. It felt like a bad spot.
No, he wasn't. Scotty won the year before as well. He's back to Scotty has won the last 2.
No, he hasn't. It went Scotty, Rahm, Scotty.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
The Masters? Yeah.
Yes, because Scotty's trying to be just the third person to go back to back.
I thought it was Rahm, Scotty.
No, Scotty's trying to do the back-to-back again.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
Yeah, and I vividly remember this because the only time of those 3 years I bet on Scotty was the middle one when he came to 10.
Fair enough.
Anyway, I think Rahm, I think, should going to be a real factor at the Masters, and at the moment kind of feels like no one's talking about him.
Yeah, what are his odds right now? He's still like 15 to 1.
16, yeah.
Yeah, he's still the fourth favorite in this field. He and who is it? He and Ludwig have the same odds. Like, I know you took Ludwig above Rahm, but there is no chance that I'm betting Ludwig over Rahm at the Masters if I was forced to pick at the same number.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Ludwig finished second his first fucking ever time.
That's
so,
a loss.
I mean,
Loss.
I don't know what we're talking about.
I'm saying who I want to win. You just told me about guys who come in second. I don't care about them. I want winners and people who want to win, Geoff.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, I don't know. It's we'll see. It's trending. I'm not looking to bet Rahm Ludwig head to head at the Masters, but think about that Rahm numbers. If he shows any life, Doral will get shorter. But for me to want to do anything with him, he's gonna have to show some fucking life at Doral.
Well, which one is it? I just told you.
Cited you all the various successful results he's had this season.
Yeah, he hasn't finished outside the top 6 in any tournament.
It doesn't mean anything.
Then why does it matter if he does anything this week? If it doesn't mean anything,
Yeah, why does this week matter?
He's got to just look the part.
That's
He's
not
gotta
an
look the
that's
part.
not an answer to the question.
What do you mean? Why does this
How is
matter?
playing really well at like 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago? That's not playing the part, but playing this week at the Blue Monster, that is play. I don't see the difference.
6th place on Live doesn't mean shit to me.
Then what? Then what do you care if he wins or doesn't win this week?
Because if he doesn't win this week or look really fucking good, then there's no chance I'm going to be on him at the Masters.
So if he comes T6 like he's been doing all year, or T5, you're gonna be like, "Well, he sucks." I don't get it.
I'm not going to be sucked.
Like,
but
what's
I don't think
the
I'm gonna bet him to
barometer
win.
here? So if he doesn't win, like you can't bet him, is what you're saying.
We'll see. He could look good and not win, but I don't know. I don't know what. The
Oh
guy,
my god!
I don't understand. I said
know
the guy,
that's the problem.
He has not been good this year.
What are you talking about? Are you not listening? Did you not listen to the results that Pat quoted you? First or second, sixth, fourth, sixth, second. Like what?
There's 8 people in his field.
Then what does it matter if he wins against 8 people this week? What's the difference?
Because then I don't know. I think he's fucking ready to go. The guy's won once in a fucking year.
I have lost so many brain cells over the last 5 minutes, and I don't know if I'm going to get them back.
You're kind of making the Cust hates Rory case right now.
It doesn't sound like there's anything that John Rahm can do short of winning this week that would make Geoff think he could eat that he even has a crack.
Yeah, or be there right at the fucking finish. You're talking to me about like second places in Live when you're like 4 shots back. The fuck do I care?
All right. It just seems strange that a good result doesn't mean anything, and a bad result would be horrible. It's very confusing to me.
It is.
But it's PJ's pick, their second round pick on the squad already. They got Rory with the second pick. It's you guys, back to you.
Did you make your pick?
I did. I picked Rahm,
Oh, of course.
who sucks. And
I mean,
can't win.
sorry, you guys just yelled at each other for so long, I kind of lost track of what was going on there. But yeah, I'm going to snake Joaquin Neiman so that Tim can't have him.
Love it. Good move. He's going to win the PGA Championship, so you got a winner in there too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Easy money.
Were you thinking about taking Neiman with one of your 2 picks here, Tim?
Of course I was. However, is what it is. I will take Bryson.
You're going to take Bryson, okay?
Yeah, I'm going to take Bryson, and then
What if,
way do I
hold
turn
on?
here?
What if Bryson only comes 3rd this week at Doral? Would that like give you some pause?
Well, I don't know if he's even
Hold on.
tuning up.
I think Liv, I said it already today. I think Liv's going to, for the most part, play great next week. I do. But in terms of like betting a guy to win at the same price as like Xander Schauffele or Ludwig Aberg or Colin Morikawa, yeah, I don't know. Your 4th fucking place on the second best gimmick tour on earth doesn't do it for me.
So you're saying you would rather bet Morikawa than Rahm at the same number? If
I'm not betting a guy.
If Rahm has a bad week this week, you'd rather bet Morikawa.
No, because I've already told you I'm not betting a guy to end a 500-day win drought at the Masters. So Megan is off next week's list already. Rahm might be bet next week. Megan, 0 chance.
This is shaping up to be like that Open Championship Morikawa one when literally no one in the world bets on him and he finally
That's not
wins.
true. I think he's going to be popular.
All right. Bryson's last 4 live starts, Tim. Do you know what his results are?
I haven't the foggiest.
10th, 20th, 16th, and 6th. That's significantly worse than Rahm.
Which means that he basically is playing left-handed then.
Or he's just spending a lot of time trying to break 50.
Did you try the bunker shot at Pinehurst that he hit?
I did try the
And?
bunker shot. I just got it out of the bunker. Yeah, it's so weird visually standing at number 2 and those greens because you're like you see them on TV and I find they do like a decent job of like showing you the elevation changes in them, but you're standing there and it just gets in your head. I can see why guys just play so out of sorts when you get there because the grass for one thing, like that overseed Bermuda, like you can't dig your club into it, so you can't get underneath the ball. So getting it up, like it needs to be a clean pick completely underneath of it. That's the only way that you don't chunk it or scuff it directly into you. But you're seeing there, it's like a 45-yard bunker shot, and the pin was pretty close to where it was. It was just on the left side of the green. The pin was on the right side of the green for Bryson. But you're looking at it, you're like, I have to hit this bunker shot, and it needs to land on this like 10-foot table or just not staying on the green. And then you like overswing and you chunk it and barely get it out. That's what I did. It was fun though.
Fair enough.
It was by far the worst round I played. It was 3 degrees Celsius when we played. You know that's not good for me.
That is chilly. That is chilly golf.
And you know how I do when it's not ideal conditions.
Yeah, no, that I can appreciate that. Definitely a day where my layers would have been profitable.
I mean, I probably still would have beat you. I lost to Artie though.
Oh yeah, he probably would have. No, good. Artie doesn't miss fairways. So
Artie doesn't. He's hitting his driver now too. Not even his hybrid anymore.
Guy is a machine.
So you have Bryson with your second pick. It's back to you at the beginning of the third round. These for no money, these picks should not be this stressful for you.
It's either Henley or Hideki. I'm trying to think which to take here. I'm going to take Henley.
All right, tell us about your guy, Russell Henley. This seems like an off-brand pick for you.
He's been playing excellently this season. What else can I say? He's got a win. He's got 4 top 4s, 4 top 25s. He's in the top 6 or 7 in points, or world golf rankings. Like, seems like the place to pick somebody like him. He's been playing great golf. So I will take him.
He has been uber consistent. I'll give you that. Was Russell Henley on your short list, Geoff? You know, every time we laugh at him, he hits a winner. So you can't laugh at his picks.
I can laugh. Hold on. I'm just trying to find it here. I got the odds board up, like just hypothetically of the 100 to 1 right now, doing the PGA Championship.
He's like 7th in official world golf rankings.
That's a good number. So I could laugh. I could get it back a little.
Didn't think that was going to happen. Then.
So you weren't sniped by Russell Henley, Paul?
I thought the decision was going to be made for us on either Hideki or JT in this spot. And Tim is just a man of, so many surprises always. What do you think, Jared? I like Hideki.
When Henley wins, Geoff, the amount of credit that you're going to have to give me, because you're treating this the way you treated me picking Wyndham as my gold pick at the U.S. Open. That's basically what you're doing right now.
Is Henley going to be your gold pick at the Masters? Because if you don't pick him to be one of your 3 wins, you get no credit. You know that.
I should get
you have
some
to
credit
pick him. You have to pick him the week of the majors we don't get. This isn't for money, so this is just for fun to see where our heads are at. How do I give you credit, say, like 4 months from now for drafting him? Like, you have to pick him the week of for me to give you credit.
I have to pick him at some point, yes. And I intend to.
Okay, good. Yeah, sorry. I just world ranking. I don't know about you guys. I felt the easiest way to figure this one out would maybe use like an odds board, although we know major odds boards aren't really the greatest indicator. It was it blends the thing and
certainly isn't live performance, so that's for sure.
No, because the live guys are high on odds boards. What do you mean?
No, but you're not understanding.
Sure, but I'm respecting the odds boards more than my opinions.
Okay.
So Paul and Jared, your guys' pick. It sounded like you were going to go with Hideki.
Hideki is the official pick. And if it goes wrong, it's Jared's fault because I put it on him. JT versus. So I'm assuming you're picking JT next there, Pat.
I don't know, actually.
You do have Big Dick Vic. He seems to have.
I'm not taking Vic.
No?
Unless I'm taking Victor Perez, I'm not taking Vic.
Fair.
So they took it there.
I will take, with my pick, I mean, I bet on him to win one of these majors already. In fact, I may have bet on PGA and U.S. Open. He is not coming in the best of form on Live, but I'm going to take another Live guy. I'm going to take Rom's teammate, Taro Atten, with my 3rd round pick.
That's a good pick. That's a very good
I was
pick.
gonna. You sniped him from me because I was gonna add to my Euro. I was gonna, make a Ryder Cup team maybe. Oh, so I have JT. Okay, JT Tommy done.
JT Tommy?
Yeah, done.
Is this the year Tommy gets it?
I don't know, but like
He got his silver medal at the Olympics. He's good.
I don't know if he's actually gonna win one, but I think his overall finishes will do well. And it might be silly to like take him over, say, a Brooks if it were just like credit for the wins, but it's not. So it's not a win only situation. So Tommy.
So yeah, you can get those top 10 points out of him. All right, I'm going to take Shane Lowry with my pick. Lowry's playing sneaky great right now, and we do get one of the one major where we get the major where he probably could have beat Dustin at Wingfoot, right? We got that? No, that's not right. Oakmont's on it. That's where he could have beat Dustin. He was in 2nd or 3rd place. He was right around all year long. That was like the first big performance from Lowry. And we get a return to Portrush where he actually won last time. And I think he's playing very underrated golf and sneakily decent at the Masters after a really poor start at Augusta in his career. So Shane Lowry is my 4th round pick. What do you guys think? PJ.
Big Dick Vic.
You're taking it. You guys can put yourself up on the screen. We set up the camera.
Jared's switching.
Oh, there you go. Jared, you got to put yourself up.
Big Dick Vic. Mostly so Geoff can't have him.
Well, they'd have to. You'd be able. You'd have another pick before again.
You're looking at the odds, same odds boards that I'm looking at. You're like,
no, but you would have another pick before would even have had a chance.
I'll
That's all
probably
I'm
take
saying.
another guy that you want on your list.
Okay, probably. I'm not necessarily going by the odds. I mean, I'm still gonna.
I'm not going by the world golf rank.
Oh, now you're not going. Now you're not going by the.
No, I'm saying
Now you're not going by the.
Now he's going by the Live points list for the year somehow.
My point being is like a lot of the guys at this point now all have like the same odd, and now like my bias will always trump. That's the trump card.
I was looking at the world golf rankings, and then I saw Russell Henley's name, and I said, "Oh, that can't be right." And I opened up a bunch of sports books, and I was like, "Of course."
No, I like Henley, and actually that 100-1 at the.
You go ahead and have your fun. You go have your fun.
I'm having a great.
You overdrafted him.
We really may just have to all go bet Russell Henley to win the PGA Championship now.
Yeah, no, that seemed like an off-market good line. Looking at a board for that tournament, but yeah, no, Henley, Ryder Cup, majors. I think he's gonna have a good year. That was Tim called his shot, so I laughed, but I respect him.
Which one is it, Tim, that Henley's gonna win?
U.S. Open.
Maybe.
Really?
He's been near.
Maybe now that I say that, I take that back because actually, I think Finau. I think I said was going to win the U.S. Open. I guess I would pick him to win the PGA Championship. I suppose.
PGA Champion. And now we need to go. I got to log on to CoolBet and bet some Russell Henley. And you guys can log on to CoolBet now too. Go create an account, and you can enter that. And if you're just looking for a Masters pool, like a PDF that you can print out, play with your friends, bring it to the office, that's available to everyone. That's on that same drop page that's down in the description right now. I just wanted to make. I mean, Tim, do you guys do that at work? Do you guys have like Masters pools or NCAA brackets?
No.
Does it not happen, or do you just not participate?
I don't think it happens, but if it does, I don't participate.
You should participate. You should bring in the mat.
No.
Think about what a hero you would be at the office if you brought in the Masters pool.
No, I'm good.
I could really use you to do it because it has branding for it on the top.
I'm good.
You can't help me out at all?
I can help you out by picking my picks.
You can help me out by bringing in the sheets to people.
No.
Are you friends with any coworkers?
Yes.
Are you even friends with me? I'm asking you one very simple thing. You can't do it? It's impossible?
No, it's impossible.
How is that? You don't know how to work a printer?
Well, that's also something I struggle with.
That wasn't even on your radar, though, so I don't see how this could be a problem. What if I printed out for you?
No. Do you want my picks?
I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to
Okay.
pay for this show, and now I can't do it because you won't help me.
I'm the worst, apparently. Okay.
Jeff, is it unreasonable to ask?
I don't know. He's being very strange right now. I had my moments of being stranger on this show, but I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, Custy's voting is still open, so ask the guy who can't use a printer. Go vote for him for most insane. Give me your picks.
Brooks and Clark.
Oh, your boy,
If
Wyndham
you asked
Clark.
him to like this show,
He's
on
never done it.
YouTube,
He has never
he
done
would
it.
he would make such a stink about hitting the thumb up on the YouTube video of this show. Like, you'd have to be like pulling teeth from your friend.
Leave me alone.
Contributor.
Just leave me alone.
Contributor.
Just leave me alone.
I've asked you to sign up for things to help me out. You never do
Leave
it.
me alone. Leave me alone.
Why can't you just help me?
Leave me alone.
Why
I
Brooks
get
and Clark?
anxious with all of these things. Why Brooks? I just do. Why Brooks and Clark? Well, Brooks because he's got 5 major
Win
championships,
equity.
and if he's in it, he can. He is somebody who can win it. He's somebody who I would expect to be in the hunt with at least one of these 4 majors. I don't know which. I don't know where. I mean, he played well at Portrush, until the last round. Anyway, just I expect him to play well, competitively well at one of these 4, maybe 2. We'll see. And Clark Clark seems to have turned around a little bit. His golf game's gotten a little better recently, and we're getting to the point now where I have to pick between people that aren't incredibly exciting for me. So why not take somebody that has done me a service in Wyndham Clark?
That makes sense. So if you guys want a list of who's in which major and who's playing all 4, who's only playing 3, you can hit the description. I have that pinned in my Mayo Media newsletter right now. It's completely free to go check out if you're doing one of these drafts or one of those underdog drafts as well, or just ones with your friends and you want to know who's playing in which major. So you're not like me. And like Tyrrell Hatton's not in the U.S. Open, for example, as of right now. If he has a good performance at the PGA and the Masters, then he'll get himself in, but he's not technically qualified for that yet. There are some guys like between the Højgaards, Geoff. Nikolai's in the first 2. Rasmus is only in the first one and the last one. So he has a bit more trouble getting himself into the ones in the middle where Nikolai can play himself into the U.S. Open and Open Championship by the end of the year. You got to tweak these things a little bit.
You got to know them.
There
Enter
you
those
go.
contests. You got to know them.
Yeah,
I'm already feeling I could be a bit lost at the moment, so
No, you're
that
good.
information's useful.
You have 4 guys who are in all 4 of the majors. That's help. We'll go back to Jared and Paul. They're on the clock with their 5th round pick.
Hope I'm wrong. Hate the guy. Don't even want to watch him golf. But I feel like he's the best guy on the board right now and somebody who at least shows up at Augusta pretty much every year. It's Patrick Cantlay.
Patrick Cantlay. Jeff, he's quickly becoming your guy, too. You and Paul love
I hate
Patrick
him.
Cantlay.
I hope
it doesn't
I'm
sound
wrong.
like you hate him. You're picking him.
I hope I'm wrong.
No,
but
so-
he's kind of getting back into form right now.
As we spoke, well, earlier I kind of talked out of both sides of my mouth with Rom. I did that today already with Cantlay, in one hand calling him a not serious golfer, but then later in the show I found myself defending him because I felt like you over portrayed his struggles. Or I don't feel like I put him on a pedestal, but I think this is a good pick, even though he might be unserious. Dangerous though. Dangerous.
appreciate that,
I like
Jeffrey.
the pick.
You seem like you'd be a Cantlay guy, Tim.
I'd like to see him win a major. Yes.
I think maybe like a lot of players, he's like very involved with player advisory now, and that doesn't usually lead to on-course success.
Except for Peter
that-
Malnati.
Well, yeah, he needed it to hijack himself into field, so it's like different from that angle. But at this point in the draft, yeah, that's a pick. That's a good pick.
All right, so that means it goes to me. Who shall I take with my pick? I'm just going to go off vibes of guys that I've bet on to win majors already. I'm going to take Bobby Mack with my pick at number 5. I just think he shows up at Augusta and lets it roll from there. He was really good at Portrush last time, too. I have a bet on him 150 to 1 to win the Masters, Tim, and he kind of looks like you. Do you think that Bobby Mack can win?
No, I don't.
That's good news. That's what I like to hear. Jeffrey, you have 2 picks.
Has Finau been drafted?
He has
No.
not been drafted.
Don't.
So this is a tough one for
You
me.
should you should take him since he's already locked into winning the U.S. Open.
Do you want me to tell you who I'm considering? Like the
Yeah, go for it. I mean, I got the guys that I want to take anyway.
Yeah, so 2 of 3 here. I'm looking at Willie Z, Finau, or Connors. I won't even look at you if you laughed at that. If someone smirked or something, I'm gonna go Finau and Connors.
That makes
I may have made a mistake there.
well. Willie Z is only qualified for the Masters so far.
Great picks, Geoff.
Paul likes your picks.
Yeah.
I like the Finau pick.
Were you going to take Finau eventually?
Yeah, I was going to take him on my next set of picks.
I mean, I keep betting Finau at like Goober events in Texas, and he can't even do well at those. It's a problem.
I'm no longer in the I think they're going to win them anything of a major. It's more like think they're going to play well more than once in a major.
I mean, that makes a ton of sense. Someone like Dietrich wouldn't be a bad pick for you then too.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah, he has 3 consecutive top 20s at majors. If you're looking for someone, where is this guy in terms of world ranking? All right, he's not currently qualified for the PGA Championship, but he is number 23 in the world, so he is almost assuredly to get in. And when he wins the Masters, he'll almost certainly be qualified. I think that's how it works. I'm taking Akshay with my pick. I'm just loading up on lefties here in the mid rounds.
That he should have been part of my 4-pack of considering.
You wanted Corey Connors.
Yep.
Mr. PGA Championship himself, Corey Connors.
Hey, listen, I hope Akshay wins the Masters, baby.
He'll be very profitable for us if he ends up winning the Masters. I love that. Paul and Jared, you're up.
Actually, we have Mr. PGA Championship getting drafted right here. Couldn't let him pass by. My man, Keegan Bradley.
Keegs.
Nice. Good. Yeah.
Oh,
I was going to take.
You sniped him.
It's a heart play rather than a mind play. Heart.
No, it's a good pick.
Golf rankings. World golf rankings are off the charts. So he's probably next on Tim's list.
Yeah, he's like the new Russell Henley.
I'm taking Sepp Straka,
Great pick.
God damn, I had him queued up for my next one. Nice pick.
and I can't wait till he wins Augusta and serves Diet Coke at next year's Masters Champions dinner.
Do you think that they don't have Diet Coke available to people at the Masters?
Yeah, like the beverage menu isn't set in stone. You could pretty much, I assume, ask the staff for any on-brand beverage.
Okay, let me rephrase that. He can. The only offerings will be water and Diet Coke. That's it. That's the list. That's all there will be.
Sorry, is there even like a? They don't make a special cocktail for the menu though.
No, they have wine pairings that they can select, or they do select.
Straka's?
I don't know what wine. I don't know what wine pairs best.
This is a
with
really
KFC,
good pick.
That's what I'd be
This is
ordering.
a really good pick.
Yeah, Straka he's been 16th, 46th, and 30th at the Masters in his first 3 tries. The only thing I really remember from him, I think it was, it would have been 2 years ago, Rom won, the really cold year. And he was just wearing mittens out on the course when you watched him on one of those weirdo streams.
But I feel like he's played really good in a few majors.
He was second at that Open to Harman when Harman won by a bunch. There were 6 guys tied for second. It was like Rom, Day, Straka, someone else. I bet him to win at Portrush, so I love this pick.
Yeah, I like it a lot too.
Okay, good. Now what do we do here?
Take a live guy.
I'm not necessarily going to take a live guy here.
What pick is this for you? 6?
This is pick 7 for Tim, the beginning of the 7th round.
Yeah.
Take Laurie Cantor.
No, thank you.
Did you
I'll
have?
take Sahith.
You're taking Thigala?
Yeah, I'll take Tagala here.
Don't love it. Don't hate it. He's a guy playing very badly. Very, very badly, sir. But, yeah.
Nah, so what?
Yeah. He can, listen, the guys pop
Still a
up.
good golfer.
Guys pop up.
Long season.
I'm actually shocked you took him over someone like Cam Smith.
Thought about it. Might get him later.
Like, who else was on, like, your radar with this pick?
Adam Scott, Lucas Glover, and him.
Lucas Glover's only in 1 major. So that's probably not a great pick.
Is he just in the? Well, he's in the U.S. the Masters because of his performance there at the Players, right?
Yeah, he's only in the Masters.
I thought top 4 got you into more than just the Masters.
No.
Okay.
No. That's how, I mean, you know what? No, he pre-qualified from something else. I think for making the Tour Championship last year. Because the Players doesn't give you those exemptions. Like JJ Spawn didn't officially get into the Masters until this week when he was top 50 in the world. Now Glover is 29th in the world. That finish really did wonders for him to bump him up, but he's no lock to make anything else so far. So
Okay.
probably a good pick that you picked a guy who's in all four of the majors already.
Yes, thank you. But I do think Glover's probably live. He has his stretches anyway.
What do you think Glover's history is at the Masters?
I don't think it's probably very strong. I don't know it off the top of my head, but I suspect it's not that strong.
It's better than I thought it was, but it's not great. It's 20th, 30th miscut. That's 24, 22, 20. Then he didn't qualify until 2014. Before that, 42nd, 49th miscut. It's been a bad run for him at the Masters over the years.
Yeah, not everybody is suitable to Augusta. I mean, it's just not his type of track.
Yeah, he's not. Well, he has a terrible short game and he can't putt, so that becomes an issue. But neither can Bubba, and he was able to figure it out. So here we are. You're not taking. Did you consider Bubba?
No, I did not.
You didn't consider the range goat king?
No, I really did not consider him and his camo pants at Augusta.
Jared and Paul, you're on the clock with pick number 7.
It is getting tricky at this point because we're not complete golf nerds like you in terms of live guys and whether they're going to be in or out.
I will. You can ask me the question and I will respond to you
then
truthfully.
I reveal my hand.
Well, you're
that's
picking
the
before
problem.
me, so what's the difference?
Play to the ceiling.
We're just going to take Will Zalatoris here.
Good pick.
Willie Z is off the board, an immaculate Masters record. He has never finished outside the top 10, Geoff, at any Masters he's participated in.
He's a wizard, and I suspect he'll be included in the other majors as the season goes on.
He needs a good performance here because he is 63rd in the world ranking. So a good finish at Augusta will prop him up and probably get him inside the top 50, and then he can roll that forward with the signature events, and because there's 2 of them coming up before the PGA Championship. But there is the chance he doesn't get in. I would guess he'd probably be a special exemption into the PGA Championship.
I think I would agree with that. The U.S. Open, not so much, but there's plenty of time for him to earn that, like you said, with the schedule. I don't think the PGA Championship is going to leave him at home.
I would tend to agree. They've invited enough upstart guys, live guys, and whoever else. You'd think that they would pass him off an exemption.
They want the best field humanly possible. It would include Will Zalatoris. There's no debate about it.
Do you think they give Alex Noren a special exemption if he's able to play?
Yeah, jeez, feel bad for him.
He's still 63rd in the world. Maybe he's in these tournaments. I just haven't noticed because he's been hurt for so long. And Noren's only in the PGA Championship, shockingly enough. That's the only one he's actually qualified for right now. Tim, I have an Adam Scott stat for you.
Okay.
He has made 15 consecutive cuts at the Masters.
Pretty excellent.
It's not bad, right?
No, it's excellent.
So Paul and Jared took Will Zalatoris. I, with my 7th round pick, am taking a guy who is only in 2 majors. Fortunately, they're the first 2, and it gives him time to play himself in. If you watch the majors preview show, you know that I've bet him to win at Augusta. If live performance means anything, which Geoff says it doesn't, unless you win, which he already has, it means a ton. I'm taking Sergio with my 7th pick.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Paul, yes.
This is me.
So that was the guy that I was looking at, and I'm like, is he gonna get into the other majors? He wasn't on the odds boards for other things, but he's obviously in Augusta.
And he's at the PGA. He got one of the special exemptions to the PGA Championship as well. Playing good golf right now. So Geoff, you have your final 2 picks.
There's someone who hasn't been picked, which is pretty funny, but I'm not picking him, so we'll move along.
You're not picking Spieth?
I am instead of picking Spieth, I will be taking the cook, Min Woo Lee, baby. Let's go. Let's go, Min Woo. And geez, so this is it's a tougher decision than I thought it would be. Want to be fun, but I don't want to be that fun. I don't know. He's such a fucking loser. But maybe one time he'll do something decent. Sung Jae.
You're taking Sung Jae?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to take Byung Hun An.
No, but that would have fit the lead in.
Yeah, that's exactly who I thought you were going for. So that passes it
And
back.
I left you someone, Pat, who I think you're going to take. But I left him for you.
You left him for me. I don't see anyone
And
that
it's not Spieth. So I guess, yeah.
Who? I mean, I don't even know who it is. I had Aaron Rye as the top guy left on my board of who I wanted to take. It's like Rye, Dietrich was there. Rose is shockingly in 3 of the majors, which I totally forgot about. Fitzpatrick just doesn't get drafted in any of these drafts. He's in all 4 of the majors. Your boy Pendrith is there. Jason Day is still there. Sam Burns is still on the table. Spieth, as we mentioned earlier. Cam Smith is there too. I just don't.
Brian Harmon's in all the majors.
Yeah, he's having a real rough go of it right now. I believe.
I agree.
Let's see his Masters numbers. I looked these. I'm releasing a giant Masters sheet on the weekend, so I've done all the research for it. His last 3 Masters appearances, Tim. You want to take a guess at how he's done?
Miscut, 51st miscut.
Very close. It's miscut, miscut, miscut.
Yeah. Not great.
Not great, Bob. I am going to take Aaron Rye.
Yeah, good pick.
Worried that it's his first time through most of the majors, although he had a really good showing for us, Paul, the year that Morikawa won that British Open. Because Aaron Rye, he was like the fantasy national simulator
guy.
darling.
Yeah.
If majors play tough, shouldn't he be
Stats
excellent?
guy.
I would think so, yeah. So, Paul and Jared, you have your final pick?
We're going to take the guy nobody wants. We're going to go Jordan Spieth.
Jordan Spieth is going to end up being like the pick.
Yeah, we win
Feeling
the
good about it.
Masters.
Is that a good pick, Geoff?
Yeah, he comes 6th place at Augusta. It's probably already paid itself off for your last pick.
So, Tim, that's you. Who is the Mr. Irrelevant of the 2025 major season draft?
Do we only get one pick here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. It's your last pick.
Who are you deciding between? You could share it. It's over.
Detry and Cameron Smith.
I thought Day would have been picked.
Or Adam Scott, who I just mentioned, guaranteed to make the cut at Augusta. I can't wait to throw him onto the to make the cut parlay and he misses the cut. That's going to be the guy that unravels it for me this year. Why Dietrich over Cameron Smith? You love Liv.
I'm not sure yet.
You
That's I'm debating between those two.
Because he heard you say a Dietrich stat.
No,
It's the
Dietrich has a
only
win.
reason it's-
Detry has a win.
But you would. Whatever. Okay.
Yeah,
fair. I like
Dietrich's
him.
only in 2 majors right now. Cameron Smith is guaranteed to play in all 4.
Yeah, I'll take Cameron Smith.
Cam. Smith.
Well dressed, put together.
Oh yeah, definitely not shaped like a bag of milk and real sloppy looking. Definitely so. Okay, so let's review the teams. The team review in the comment section. Tim, you don't have to do this one. I won't ask you to do it. I would ask you to smash the like and sub to the channel if you have not done that. However, here are the 4 teams. I'll release this on Twitter as well. People can vote on this. So give me your vote down in the description. With the first overall pick, here is cussed 8 players. Scotty, Bryson, Henley, Brooks, Wyndham Clark, Straka, Thigala, and Cam Smith. Team PJ in the corner, Paul and Jared had the number 2 pick in this draft. Your team is Rory, Neiman, Hideki, Big Dick, Vic, Cantlay, Keegan, Zalatoris, and Jordan Spieth. My team is, with the 3 pick, is Morikawa, Rom, Hatton, Lowry, Bobby Mack, Akshay, Sergio, and Aaron Rye. Geoff, your team is Ludwig, Xander, JT, Tommy, Finau, Connors, and Min, Lee, and Sung J M.
I like it.
When I read out those teams, who does it sound like has the best team? I actually like Tim's team.
They're all pretty good.
Although if you added it all up and just took like quality of player, I think Paul and Jared's like not trying to be fancy or pick your favorite guy's team is pretty good.
Yeah, I was basically just looking at like sharp sports books and being like, oh, who's getting skipped over here?
That makes a ton of
Henley
sense.
was never on my board.
Again, go ahead, criticize him all you want. The guy's 7th in world golf rankings.
You told me the
He's
world
having a
golf-
good se-
but
he's having a good season,
You
though.
told me that those rankings don't mean anything because it doesn't involve the live guys.
They're not as reflect. Do I think he's the 7th best player in the world? No, but is he a top 20 player in the world? Unquestionably. So
He should be perform fine. And I agree if he's going to win one, it's probably the U.S. Open.
but go ahead, criticize him. It's funny to make fun of him. You know, he's
Listen,
playing
Bay Hill. He won elevated event. I laughed. He won an elevated event at Bay Hill. Like that is Like that's not a major,
That's
but
the best tournament we've had all year. It's the only competitive top tier tournament we've had all year.
No,
It was
the,
an-
the,
it
Gen-
was a
the
tournament?
Genesis was super competitive. The Players was pretty competitive
the
too,
Genesis
considering
was
it went to a
played-
playoff.
The Genesis wasn't played where it's usually played, so whatever. You get to win, but whatever. It's like an asterisk.
So you
And the
don't-
players are
hold on,
whatever,
Hold on,
like,
you don't think that a course that hosts U.S. Opens is a legitimate course?
I'm saying no, that's not what I said. What I said was to win the quote unquote Genesis at a tournament at a track where it's never played, it counts, but there's like an asterisk next to it.
what?
In the same way that people put an asterisk next
You
to
just put
Dustin's
an
2020.
asterisk next to Ludwig's win at the Genesis?
People don't put an asterisk next to Dustin Johnson at all.
Yeah, they do. They do though.
No one even brings
You're
up
talking
Dustin
about
Johnson.
these guys like they won. Well, no, I mean people do some. I mean, the gallery-less Morikawa wins get a bit of an asterisk. But hey, speaking of it, credit to Russell Henley. He won a huge tournament, a tournament so big, so important in golf that a blemish-free player was so heartbroken he couldn't even talk to the press.
Do you like this new feud that Geoff has with Morikawa, Tim?
I don't understand it. I don't know what he did to infuriate Geoff, but I understand that once you get on his bad side, watch out. Once he starts giving you a little nickname, which he has done here, there's no coming back from. I've yet to see somebody be pulled back from the wrath of Jeffrey once the nicknames start flying and the little digs begin.
There's
I
one.
just don't.
There's one
The
guy.
guy got
Justin
the
Rose
guy
has
started-
Justin Rose has made a comeback for Geoff.
Yeah, it's true.
I suppose he just doesn't dislike him. So
No, Justin Rose definitely. Yeah, Pat's right. Pat nailed that. Pat absolutely fucking zonked that. Listen, like you could be a total jerk and then show up next time crying about it and then wanting sympathy from people because you sign autographs for fucking children. What a fucking, Tim. And here's my point.
Do you
Here's my
dislike him
point.
more than Michael Block?
Oh my God, not even close. As like not clearly a true purveyor of it, you haven't heard the rant. The guy took a blemish-free image. He was a protected golfer. The broadcast don't talk about him not winning in 500 days. He is not presented as a jerk. And in one single moment, he made his 500-day drought and being a well-known jerk inside the tour circles an actual thing. So, yeah, good. Yeah, there. It's pretty simple. I mean, whoa, what an idiot.
You heard it here first, Tim. That's exactly why he hates Morikawa now.
He doesn't like Morikawa, doesn't like Rahm for reasons that I still
I
can't
like Rahm.
possibly fathom.
Yeah,
I'm a big John Rahm fan.
but he sucks unless he's great. But that
no,
doesn't
he's
still
like
matter.
self-righteous. His self-righteous shit with fucking Liv, like, it's really annoying. But
Remember when Tim wanted one of those Letterman jackets that he was wearing?
I don't think I said I wanted it. I
Tim,
just said I think
Pat-
it looked cool.
here's a guarantee I can make. I don't know if they actually sold those things, but if they actually produced them for sale, one day we're gonna get one of those things so fucking cheap, like it'll be embarrassing. It'll be like a relic in sports, and we'll get it. Tim will rock it. It'll be
Like that President's Cup shirt you wanted, but never bought,
memorabilia.
right? It'll be like that President's Cup shirt you wanted.
I
but you didn't
thought
buy.
the shirt the Internationals wore on day one of the President's Cup was fantastic. I wasn't going to pay $150 for it. And when it went on sale online, I was slow to act. They also went 0-4, I believe, that session.
0-5.
0-5 in the shirt. But I thought it was a lovely Beadritty shirt.
Well, if you guys want to do a majors only draft, you can do that at Underdog right now. Use code Mayo and get yourself a deposit bonus of up to $1,000. Outdoor golf season is almost here, but is your swing ready? With 126 X-Golf locations across 38 states, it's never been easier to dial in your swing year-round. I can speak to this. Going to the simulators all winter long, especially the good ones. You can go to crappy simulators. You don't want to go there. You want to go to X-Golf and really prep your game and hit the season firing. X-Golf's state-of-the-art simulators let you play full rounds, tee to green with unmatched short game realism. X-Golf's Auto Tee system ensures you're always ready to bomb a drive. No delays or automatic two-putts, just real, competitive golf in a lively sports bar environment. Love a little competition? X-Golf's handicap leagues and tournaments give every golfer a shot at winning incredible prizes. Upcoming spring tournaments include the Majors, where you could win a beach or mountain vacation, or the Cinco de Mayo Scramble, win a trip to New Belgium Brewery in Asheville, and that is just the start. So visit playxgolf.com to find your nearest X-Golf and book your tee time today. Again, trust me on this, you're going to want to go to X-Golf, so visit playxgolf.com. Now that the weather's heating up for almost everyone, you need to flip your wardrobe. And if you're anything like me, summertime means more outfit changes. Golf, work, gym, playground with the kids, restaurants, whatever it is that you do, it probably requires a change of clothing. What you need are shorts and pants that look the part for all those places that are actually comfortable. And that's a hard thing to do. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who's tried wearing a pair of regular golf shorts to dinner after playing earlier that day, only to have your wife tell you that you need to go change because now you're dressed like that creepy guy at the office who wears a golf shirt and golf shorts to work every single day, and it's just a real bad vibe. But here's the thing. Since I've started wearing Bird Dogs, hasn't said a word. They look the part for the course and everywhere else. Plus, unlike my dressier shorts, Bird Dogs are actually comfortable. They look the same, but they're not just chafing the inside of my thighs the entire time. I basically wear them everywhere now. And when I was at Pinehurst, a place that's really not known for the casual look, I was able to wear my Bird Dogs while I was playing, and then I wore the exact same shorts to the dress code steakhouse later that night. Everyone was uncomfortable as they were filling their guts with food. Not Pat Mayo, because I have my Bird Dogs. No issues whatsoever. And for a limited time, my listeners get a free hat with any order when you use code PATMAYO at birddogs.com. Get this hat completely free when you use code PATMAYO at birddogs.com. Show support for the Pat Mayo experience and let them know that I sent you. But I want to let everyone know to smash the like and sub to the channel. We're almost at 50K on YouTube. That's great. And I'm giving away $6,000 total. Do you like money? Do you like free money? Well, there are two separate draws you can get into. The first one is a $5,000 trip to Toronto for a Canadian Open experience. There's sweet tickets to Blue Jays in there, airfare, hotels. So if you're in Canada, outside of Ontario, you can get into it thanks to our good friends at coolbet.com. Hit the description. You can find the direct link to opt into that giveaway. Tell your friends about it, because the more people that get into it, the better chance we have to sending people to the British Open in Northern Ireland for Portrush later on this year. So let's make this one super successful. You can also, anyone worldwide, get into a draw for 5 prizes of $200 cash each. It's all in the same link down in the description right now. Please go check that out. But rating and reviewing the podcast, telling some friends and someone to the channel is the best way that you can go about that to get your name in the free draw. Get your ballots in. That's how you're going to do it. Let's go player by player right now. All these odds are supported by our good friends at CoolBet. Scotty Scheffler is up first. Scotty Scheffler is plus 420 to win the Masters this year. Obviously, he's won it 2 of the past 3 years. He comes in with a T2, T20, T11, T3, T25. Obviously, he cut his hand over Christmas, Matt, and he hasn't won since, which is the weirdest part about this, because outside of Hideki, each of the past 5 winners all have a win, at least a win, in the calendar year coming into the Masters, and he does not.
Yeah, I mean, thinking back to his runner-up at Memorial Park last week, how did you view it? Because it seemed like the most relaxed, I don't have anything close to what I have runner-up that he's ever had. I know he had, if you told us that he gained 7 strokes putting, how much are you going to put on him to win last week? Like, it was just incredible. He didn't look great for 72 holes. He had flashes, but I don't know. It's scary, truthfully, because he didn't have anything and he still finished runner-up.
But he didn't have anything, but he's still the exact same odds that he was at this point last year. And he had, 4 wins coming into it at this point last year? It's not that I don't think that you can win the Masters without winning previously. Obviously, we've seen it done many a times. And he has the required top 10 type of trend line that would still indicate that he can go win this. But there's something, he's not Scotty Scheffler from last year. He's still the best player. I mean, Rory might have a case to be. Rory's been the best player of 2025. If I was saying who's the best player in the world, it's still Scotty Scheffler. But I think that gap has closed so much because There was points for over the last 18 months when he would hit an iron shot. And even if he missed the iron shot, it would be 25 feet left, but exactly hole high every single time. His wedge distribution, his iron distribution is just way off this year. He's coming up short. He's going long, which regular golfers do on the PGA Tour. But that's not what we expect from him.
Yeah, robots don't usually mess up like this much, and this robot is messing up. So we'll see what's going to happen, I guess, going forward. But I'm with you. I don't think he's going. I don't know what you think. I don't think he's going to go back to back. I don't think he's going to have his third Masters in 4 years. But he's the rightful favorite for sure. He knows this course. He's got a great caddy who knows this course better than a lot of people. So yeah, Scotty Scheffler. I think he's a far better DFS play than he is a bet. So I probably passing on him. I mean, I'm definitely passing on him in the betting market. I just can't bet a 4-to-1 golfer. But yeah, Scotty Scheffler, definitely scary.
I think it goes back to what you just said, too. If you could have told me pre-tournament last week in Houston that he was going to gain 7 strokes putting, which was the second best putting performance of his career, and he didn't win, I would know what was going on.
Yeah, I would have put a lot of money aside to wager that for sure.
And he's the rightful betting favorite in my mind. Obviously, the sports books agree because he's still ahead of Rory on the board right now. But what odds would he have to be to get you to bet him? Would it have to be 10-1?
No, I would say 6.5 to 7, and it's very similar to what we saw last year. I was waiting till he got to that number around Bay Hill, and he finally got to that 7 to 6.5 number at Bay Hill. I pulled the trigger, and it obviously worked, and we haven't seen that since then. But I remember going into the last year, some big name golf, big J media outlets were saying, what would be a rightful betting number for Scotty Scheffler, who couldn't putt at that time, and they were saying like 18 to 20. I'm like, guys, this is just a little far fetched. I'm saying closer to 7 to 10 is a fair number on Scotty Scheffler. We got there. So I'm saying going forward, like that's my buy number on Scotty when he gets to the 7 number.
All right, number 2 on the betting board right now, the co-favorite, second favorite, however you want to call it, it's Rory. Rory comes in with the best form of anyone in the world right now. He is 7-1 to win the Masters. Do you think those are fair odds, or should he still be this far behind? Should he be higher or lower in your mind?
I think these are fair odds for Rory. I think he's right around where he should be. I'm still thinking around maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, we see some drift on Scotty, maybe towards 5, maybe pushing 5.5, 6, but I don't know. I actually want to ask you your take, like at a macro level, on Rory McIlroy at Augusta National, because everyone has different thoughts on him. Will he do it? Will he won't? Will he won't do it? What do you think about Rory?
I hope he does it. I don't think he's going to do it, but I hope he does it. He's not going to get a cent of my money to win this tournament because no one's ever lost money not betting on Rory at the Masters. But just to put this all behind, I want to see a new phase of Rory. Rory's 35 right now. He has the 4 majors. He hasn't won in 11 years at a major championship. And no matter what else he does, he just won the Players, which is probably the strongest field in golf. It doesn't matter. No one cares that he won the Players. Like, yeah, it's great. Another accomplishment for Rory. Oh, he wins at Pebble Beach against all the best players. Let's see him do it at a major. So it's not even that I want him to get the monkey off his back. As someone who does content, I just want to talk about anything else.
Yeah, no, I agree. And there's obviously the golf course makes sense for Rory. It's Rory McIlroy. He can play anywhere. And I've been in the camp that Rory is going to win at Augusta for a long time, and it's clearly hasn't came true. I think I need to see something generational, something phenomenal for me to pull the trigger on Rory when I'm out there at Augusta on Monday, because it's just 7-1 and 2 time and time again. And I've been the person to waste my money on Rory at Augusta. I don't know if I could do it again. I really have to see something to get me over the edge.
So you're going to be on the grounds at Augusta National on Monday. Walk me through what that day is going to look like for you.
Yeah, so right now it's Monday. We're looking to add Tuesday. We haven't gotten there that far yet, but it's just like any other Boots week for us at Vincerix. If you're not sure, we go to half the tournaments. We basically are there Monday through Wednesday, Tuesday through Wednesday, depending on the event. And we're scouting the courses, scouting the players, who's going to play well here. It's simply another piece of data to add to the stats. Everything from the stats to what I see to anything you look at, take it with a grain of salt for sure. But it's just another thing to add to the stats, and it's a great piece of information. So we're going to go in, get the reports on the course, get the reports on every single player in the field, who's doing what, how's Xander look, how's Jordan look, what do they need to do better, and then just basically go from there. But I don't really know what to expect in terms of Augusta. Never been there. I'm going to be in awe for a lot of it, but I'm gonna have a notepad with me and gonna be writing a ton down. So if you have any tips, I would definitely appreciate them. Just being now, I don't know if you've ever been there, but how to navigate Augusta National, how to navigate the city. So I'm excited for sure.
Matt, you think they would let me on the grounds at Augusta National? Come on.
I don't know, dude. You got some pull. I think they let you in if you asked.
Maybe. One day I'll get down there. We'll see how that goes. But you can follow Matt on Twitter at Matt_Gannon_. If you've been to Augusta National, hit him up with where he needs to be, where he needs to go scout for information that you want to use Matt to your advantage on this one. He's going to be on the grounds. He's going to be seeing the players. So if there's anything that you want to see or are interested in, let Matt know. And I'll put that down in the description right now, along with that $6,000 worth of giveaways that I'm doing. Everyone in the world can get in on
giveaways.
Yeah, I mean, listen, who doesn't want to get in on giveaway? Who doesn't like free money, Matt? Who?
Not many people don't. Not many people don't. I can assure you that.
Yeah, listen, if you don't like free money, don't smash the like. Hit like the down thumbs button on this episode. But if you're a real human person, you smash the like and you get in those giveaways. All right? What do you think that CBS wants from its final 3 groups, let's say? I always like playing this question. I think that Rory winning is the optimal outcome for CBS this time around, and it usually is because it completes the career Grand Slam. He finally gets the ghost of 2010 off his back, although it's been 15 years. It continuously gets brought up. But if we had to program right now what the final 3 groups are going to be for television-wise, for audience interest, what we want to see, like I want to see Akshay and Bobby Mack in the final group. I don't think that's what CBS wants to see.
I'm with you there.
Or anyone else wants to see. But if we were programming this out, let's start with the third to last group on the tee, number 1, Augusta National. Who is playing in that pairing?
Third to last group is going to be Brooks and Ludwig. Okay.
Brooks and Ludwig. Okay. I actually don't have Brooks as one of my final 6, as weird as that sounds.
Okay. He might be one of the outliers, but I'll say there for Brooks and Ludwig. Who do you have in the third to last?
I have Phil and Scotty.
That checks out.
Like having Phil,
you're probably right there.
Having Phil in the mix, like the sentiment is now swinging back on Phil from the mainstream media because I mean, listen, Phil has done a ton for golf by simply going to Live. As much as people hate Live, don't want anything to do with it. Listen, I'm not sitting here watching Live every single week. I don't really care all that much. But the disruption that Live has made, I do think in the long term is going to benefit the PGA Tour. And if this all is just a bridge, they can merge, and Phil can be a color commentator for us instead of Kevin Kisner, I think it's a big win.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. I think your answer is probably right. My second group, I'd probably go with Rory and Minwoo. I was surprised with what Minwoo did for who knows if the numbers are real from Houston last week, but the amount of pull this guy has, like he was on part of my take a few days ago, getting FaceTime calls from Justin Bieber. People want to see Minwoo.
Okay, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my second group. So I have an open spot here. So I have my final group. I know exactly what I think the final group should be. I have Spieth in the penultimate group. I need to put someone with Spieth. I was thinking Justin Thomas. No one wants to see Justin Thomas. No one wants to see Morikawa. No one really wants to see Xander. Maybe that is the answer. I was going to say it's probably Ludwig, honestly. You need to get someone young into that mix, create a new star. Obviously, he was in the second to last group at the Masters a year ago. Would you say that Ludwig was, besides Billy Horschel maybe, was Ludwig the big winner of TGL in terms of exposure and getting to know this guy?
Yeah, I wish he just played a little more. He had a few matches where he didn't play. Billy was the man. Wyndham also actually did awesome in TGL. And then strangely enough, Justin Thomas. Like Justin Thomas was arguably the best TGL player. He was so clutch all year long, hit great shots, great putts. Like he was a far better putter on turf than he is on any surface on the PGA Tour. So look out. If we get a turf course, Justin Thomas, all the money.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say Justin and those other guys.
Yeah, I'll go Spieth and Ludwig as my penultimate group. So a final group. I wonder if we have one of the same guys in this final group. Who do you have?
Have to. Rory Bryson?
Rory Bryson is the answer.
Yeah, agree.
That would be awesome.
Agree.
And we'll get to Bryson here in a second, but I just don't like him at Augusta. Last year was an outlier.
See, I'm on the opposite. I love Bryson at Augusta, and I said years ago when he was Bryson, But when he started getting big, I'm like, Bryson is going to win a Masters before he retires. Now I think the pendulum swung too far, and I think it's like, all right, we're betting Bryson at 15-1. But remember that year when he was like 9-1, the favorite? Was that the COVID year? He was like the favorite.
Yeah,
I believe.
No, Dustin was the
I-
favorite that year. Then it was Bryson.
Okay, yeah, I do like Bryson at Augusta, like at a macro level. I'm not gonna pull the trigger because of my take I lit off the show with, but I do like Bryson at Augusta. I think the golf course, when he said it's a par 67, I think about it, I'm like, he's not that wrong. I think it makes sense. Like I think it makes sense for his game. But I'm in on Bryson at Augusta. I'm not going to bet it though.
Well, we'll get to him in a second. You can go to the full Bryson DeChambeau breakdown if you want. There's also a free pick attached to him, too, at Underdog using code Mayo. More on that in a second. John Rahm is actually up next for us. Rahm is he's so out of sight, out of mind, he's now slipped to 15-1 at CoolBet. And I actually think this, unless he wins Live Doral, which has not started by the time that we're talking about this, I actually think he might fall to like 20-1. Rahm is the guy at the top of the board whose odds I am the most interested in. So far on Live, which is impossible really to figure out how meaningful it is, but his results are 5th, 6th, 6th, 2nd. He has not been bad.
Yeah, the dude hasn't finished outside the top 10 in legitimate ages. He just goes along, plays. I think his last outside the top 10 was the Masters last year. I do think that Rahm possibly breaks through in a major this year. He hard mixes, gets in there from early to the end. And yeah, this is a great spot for it. Oh, so you don't really care what he does on Live, or do you just think the Live result matters for his number?
I think the result on Live, it's funny because Geoff and I talked about this on Tuesday.
I heard that conversation. That was hilarious.
I still don't understand what his point was. I think his point was that if Rahm wins, he's more inclined to bet Rahm if he wins at Doral, and if he does poorly, it doesn't matter to him. I think if he wins at Doral, his number probably goes to 12-1. If he has another T4 finish, he probably still goes to 20. If he comes dead last, which is not happening because there's some absolute scrubs on Live and they're playing Doral, then he would go to like 25-1. But I just like where these odds are at. Like, I don't think that he is that far. He is clearly behind Scotty and Rory. And he probably is on the same level of Rahm he is Rahm, on Ludwig and Xander and Morikawa and Thomas and that grouping of guys. But I still think that he just, from my experience and my opinion, I still think he's the best player of all those guys.
I think I agree with you there. It's just he's John Rahm, and last year was a bit of a mess in the majors. I know he played all right at the Open, but I think it's just a matter of time before he breaks through yet again. And he hasn't been playing bad golf by any means, so I'm with you on Rahm.
Yeah, and they would get him to 3 majors. It would be a real boost to Live if one of them was able to win the Masters. And I'm just looking for value in terms of the betting market. Like I said, I'm kind of rooting for Rory or Spieth to win the Masters. I'm not going to bet on either two of those guys to win the Masters. Rahm, if he can drift that 20-1 number, then I feel like he's a legitimate value versus a lot of these guys. Whether 20-1 is actually fair in terms of sheer probability, it's probably not. Does he have a 5% chance of winning? I would actually, you know what? He probably does.
I think 5 is an okay number. Yeah, I think that's fair.
So John Rahm. Ludwig is up next. Ludwig is who everyone wants to anoint as the next guy. He made his Masters debut a year ago and handily came in second place. He's currently 15-1 at CoolBet in order to win the Masters. And unless he wins the Valero Texas Open, this number either stays the same or goes up. It's weird when I look at his game because obviously, he's hulking. He just won at Torrey Pines at the Genesis Invitational. He was sick before that. And, the first time he played Torrey, just really crumbled down the wire, had to withdraw from Pebble because of that sickness. And his game on paper, I think, works out really well for Augusta. I do worry about his short game, though. There's not a lot, and it's the same thing I worry about with Bryson, especially on these surfaces. And maybe they can figure it out. But when I think of Ludwig, I don't think of elite short game.
Yeah, and another thing with Ludwig is something I question. I question his strokes gain caddy. He's obviously got Skovron on the bag, but look at what Skovron's done with Ricky in big moments. They obviously, they won the Players, but they were close in some majors and weren't able to pull through. And we at Vinsarks, we really factor in strokes gain caddy. Being out there, we see how these guys prep, and Skovron knows what he's doing. Obviously, he's a generational guy. He's done it for a while, but I don't know if he has enough to get to the next level. Obviously, they're serious about it. They finished runner-up last year, and they have the game to do it. I think I might agree with you on the short game. And also, how often does a guy go runner-up win? I just don't see that happening. I really don't.
I agree with you. And one of the big through lines that you can look at as indicators, I talked about winning once or twice before the Masters, 3 top 10s earlier on in the season before the Masters. Now, Ludwig obviously has a win, but he also has a missed cut in there. Very rarely do you see a Masters winner. I think Patrick Reed was the last one to do it, that he had like missed a cut somewhere in the season. It's hard for some of these guys to miss cuts anymore because they all play in these no-cut events.
Yeah, yeah.
And he
No, I
flamed
agree.
out
And
on
Ludwig's
Sawgrass.
that was tough. And it's weird to see like guys don't come in with this kind of suspect approach play. I really want to see what he does with the irons this week. And then also see what I see from him on site during the week. So we'll see with Ludwig.
I like this SG caddy angle. Who do you think, like top three caddies of guys with the Masters field that you think elevate their game the most? Because we just saw how important it was to Minwoo.
Yeah, well, obviously the best caddy is Ted Scott, and I don't think anyone would argue that statement. He's an elite prepper. Another really, really good caddy, Austin Kaiser. He's in a different world of the way he goes about things. And then Russell Henley's caddy. I do forget his name off the top of my head, but this guy is so dialed with his craft that he knows Russ's game better than anyone. And Russ has no business kind of getting into the mix on the golf courses that he gets into the mix on. He's just so focused on his game plan and exactly what he does to play well at Torrey Pines a few years back in the U.S. Open, to win at Bay Hill, to finish top 4 at the Masters. Those aren't necessarily Russell Henley golf courses. And with his just staying on plane with his game and his skill set, it's been a treat to watch them two work.
Austin Kaiser, by the way, people do not know, Xander Schauffele's caddy coming in. Xander's going to be interesting. We'll get to him in a second, but we'll talk about Colin Morikawa for the moment, who, by all accounts, is kind of having the best year of anyone. Obviously, he hasn't won, and that's a huge drawback for him. He's now currently 18-1 at CoolBet to win the Masters. He has some great finishes, both at majors and Masters. In the past, his last 3 Masters is 3rd, 10th, and 5th. Obviously, he made that bunker hole out on 18 in the same group as Rory when Rory came second 3 years ago, way behind Scottie Scheffler, which was not even as close as the final score indicated because Scottie 4-putted the 18th hole with like a 6-stroke lead or something like that. Coming in, 10th, 2nd, 17th, 2nd. It's all there for him, except I look at him and I just want to cross his name off because I don't think he's going to win.
I totally agree with you. I think Bryson is is a great golf course for Bryson. Do you think this is a great golf course for Morikawa, even though he has the results? Because I don't. I really don't.
I think that any time, and this is basically any golf course, I think you can get away with not being the longest player off the tee at Augusta. I think it most certainly helps, but this is such a second shot course that his long iron game is so much better than most people's mid iron game that he can more than make up for it with his approach play. And obviously, he is so vastly the most underrated thing about Morikawa over the past 2 years, which is funny because he hasn't won in like 2 years, is that his short game has improved to the point where he's actually really good now. The putting comes and goes, but that comes and goes for 80% of golfers anyway. And he's not historically bad in a lot of times, but his performance in round 4s is pathetic.
The horrible. Another thing that we can't factor in at Vince Eric's strokes gained dog. It is dropping by the week with Colin Morikawa, and we track this. We have a calculation that tracks it every single week, and we update it. It's tough to see Colin Morikawa strokes gained dog. So, like, who do you trust more on the back 9, tied with a 1-shot lead? Colin Morikawa or Scottie? You're taking Scottie 10 times out of 10. I just don't want to be in that situation. And I just don't think I could pull a trigger around that number.
What happens if we get some sort of bizarro Sunday finish where there's 2 guys who are 5 strokes ahead dueling on the 12th hole, and it's Fleetwood, let's say it's like Fleetwood, Finau, and Colin Morikawa. I mean, Colin Morikawa does have 2 majors, so we can't just pass that up. The thing that people forget about those majors and most of his big wins, no spectators in the stands for any of those. All COVID ones.
Yeah, and that one overseas, we got a few lucky breaks avoiding some bunkers, but we won't talk about that. If there's a outlier finish with Tommy and Colin and like Sung Jae, guys who just cannot close, that would be a world where I'd love to watch because it would be some of the greatest television ever. If I had to pick one, it'd probably be Colin because he's done it before, but I wouldn't want to be forcing that into that decision.
Well, we've teased his name a few times, and he is probably the most popular player in the field because it's been a great PR move not being on TV as much. That's what going to live does for you. So you get to select what people see. Bryson is up next. Bryson is 19-1 to win the Masters right now. He is not having a great year on live. He has been 10th, 20th, 18th, 6th. It's not a great run considering there's only 54 guys on that tour. You know, a 20th and an 18th isn't so great. I did bet him to win Doral this week, so maybe he'll do that, which will give him a lot of juice.
Me too. Let's go.
Coming into the Masters. But his last 3 Masters, 6th last year, then miscut before that. And I do think he was first round leader last year. And here's my take against Bryson. I like Bryson. I think it would be awesome if he won. However, if it was not wet and soggy the first 2 rounds at Augusta, he probably misses the cut again. He does not have the right type of game, I think, for Augusta, especially if I'm worried about Ludwig around the greens, all 1 iron length Bryson, he just can't, when this place bakes out and he needs to have some real touch, it just does not work for him whatsoever. At Pinehurst, you can bump and run it into that hill and get it to roll up, and Bryson's very underratedly one of the best putters in the world. So he can make those 10-footers, especially when the greens are running pure like they do at U.S. Opens. I think that Bryson should probably be the favorite, along with Scotty, to win both the PGA and U.S. Open basically every year. His game is tailored for that. When I think about Augusta, I think about Phil, live guys, Reed, those type of players who can scramble themselves out of any situation. They can get the ball immediately up. They can get it down. Bryson's style of around the green, I do not think translates well to a baked out Augusta if it's playing firm.
I 100% agree with you. And he doesn't have that short game. I will say tee to green wise is where I do like him. I think the ball striking and the driver just elevates him so much around Augusta. But no matter who you are, you're going to be forced with those dicey chips. I will say his short game performance around Pinehurst was truly one of the greatest assets of last year. Because I was at Pinehurst. I saw those around the green surfaces. You were just there too.
I was.
You can't even describe
I played it 2 weeks ago. It took me 3 rounds, and after playing number two just kicked my ass. But even around 10, even around 4, around number 1, around number 8, didn't matter where it was. It's so much different chipping there than anything that I had ever really experienced that it took me 3 or 4 rounds just to figure out, like, oh, here's how I actually have to clip it off the ground. But honestly, you could bump and run all around that place. You cannot do. If people want to check it out, I just interviewed Michael Kim yesterday, and we talked about short game prowess at the Masters. And we talked a little bit about bump and run and how you have to approach your short game here. He's like, Charles Schwartzel did it once. He took out a 7-iron and played the bump and run on number 7 and shipped it in Sunday the year that he won. He's like, basically anyone else, with the way that the grass is mown at Augusta National, it's all back into you. So if you try to play a bump, it just stops the moment it hits. And Bryson's so good at that shot, and he doesn't have that like high 64-degree flopper. I mean, I'm sure he has it, but not to the level of some of the elite short. Like, he doesn't have the same short game as Justin Thomas, for example.
You know that you mentioned this is going to be a weird connection that I'm going to try to make right now. The grass around TGL, all of it it's not mown, but it's back into you. Because I was at TGL every single week, and I got to play the simulator. You cannot bump anything at TGL. You have to land everything on the green. So maybe these TGL guys are used to that. And if you have a little Masters course history, it's just a nugget. We'll say if a TGL guy wins, clip that. But yeah, Bryson, I think the tee to green game outweighs some of it to the point where I think he will win a Masters at some point, but I don't think I can get there at where he is now. And like I said, with the live guys, I'm not betting him. The short game is truly, you're right. It's a lot, and he doesn't have that style of short game to make it happen.
And I do think that Bryson is one of the few players when things start going bad for him, they get really bad. Yeah, no, you're right. They can get out of hand quick. So let me ask you this. What do you think is a better bet for Bryson at the Masters? 19-1 to win the Masters, or probably 6.5-1 to miss the cut at the Masters?
I don't think he's going to miss the cut.
I don't think he is either, but he's missed 2 of the past 3.
Do you think it's more likely for him to be within 5 strokes of the lead on Sunday or miss the cut?
5 strokes.
If he's within 5,
I think being within 5 is probably a more probable outcome. But I think when it goes bad for him, it can go really bad. Now, if I see rain in the forecast, and I think it's going to be soggy for at least
rain on Monday.
There's rain on Monday, but do you think that they can suck? They can basically, it rained so much on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday last year, and that's why he was able to go out and shoot 7-under. He went and attacked pins and got the ball to stop on a dime. You can't do that at Augusta normally if it's baked out. And we do know with the sub-air system that they have, they can suck all the moisture out of that as long as the rain stops at some point. So if it rains Monday and Tuesday, that should be fine as long as it doesn't rain Wednesday Wednesday and Thursday, it'll play like normal. At least I think it will.
No, you're right. If I had to answer your question, I would go with a 9. I'd rather bet the 19 than bet the 6.5 to 1 for him to miss the cut, but it's not a strong case, I'll say.
Well, here's a winner that you can get for sure on Bryson. If you go to Underdog right now, you open up the Underdog app, you use code Mayo, you get a deposit bonus of up to $1,000. And for the Masters, a very special free pick in the Pick'em game on Bryson DeChambeau. You get to go higher or lower, 0.5 strokes in round 1 of the Masters. That one I think is a guarantee. I think he will have more than 0 strokes in the first round.
I think I agree with you. If he does, if he doesn't, then we have something to talk about. Because if he has, we'll see. Because it can, you never know. You never know.
Yeah, well, it'll be like that Dustin Johnson situation when he just magically didn't show up to his tee time that year.
That would be some outcome for your promo.
Yeah, I think they would probably refund you on that and give you a new promo. So code Mayo at Underdog right now. And I did a Majors draft on Tuesday with Geoff and Tim. And there's Majors drafts going on at Underdog right now. A lot of people love Masters pools. I have one of those available in the description if you just want to print it off and bring it into your office. That's a service that I'm providing for free to you. I know people love Masters office pools, but you want to play for some big money? There are 2 big drafts at Underdog right now where you just draft players for the major championships. $50,000 to first prize for one, $40,000 to first prize for another. And the great thing is, when you use code Mayo, you get that deposit bonus of up to $1,000, and you can draft your teams with that bonus money. So you're not even tying up your money for all of major season. Now look, if the money is tied up for all major season, that means you're doing really well, and probably means you're in contention for the top prize, which you probably want to do anyway. But go do that at Underdog right now. I have both of my strategy articles for both of the different contests available in the description right now as a part of the Mayo Media newsletter, all completely free. If you want to check that out, I highly suggest that you do. The only player that we've talked about so far that I'm interested in betting is Jon Rahm. Is that strange?
That's not strange. The number is there, and I think he's due for a major hard mix. I think it's coming.
Xander is up next, fresh off of Marilyn Manson surgery. Got that rib problem. He's got that taken care of now. He came back to TGL. He was fine. He led the Valspar in strokes gained approach, but he is not having a good year. However, he's been 8th and 10th at the Masters the past 2 years. Obviously, he won 2 major championships a year ago. He is currently 20 to 1 to win the Masters. That's probably the biggest number that you're going to get on him. Well, maybe it's not. Maybe he continues to play poorly and his odds tank throughout the course of the other majors. But 20 to 1 on Xander to win the Masters, if you believe, Matt, that he is back, is a very good number.
I agree. He's got the course history, but I will say, when you look at Xander Schauffele throughout his entire, at least last few years of his career, it's green across the board. He's one of the few guys, green approach, green everything. It's spotty right now. Obviously, that outlier approach week, could that mean he's back? I think it was a testament to him as a player and the field, why he had his best career approach week. I don't think he's back yet. I don't want Xander. He hasn't gained stroke short game yet this year. I think he still needs some time. He could play well for sure, but I don't think I'm going to get baited into that 20.
Okay, you're not going to get baited into the 20. Are you going to get baited into the 22 to 1 on Justin Thomas? Would you find it surprising that the guy ends his 3-year win drought at the Masters?
Honestly, I wouldn't find it that surprising. He's almost won a few years ago, but it was never like a hard mix down to the end. I don't think Justin Thomas is playing. I don't think he's came into the Masters playing as good as he had in a long time. So I don't know. I'm really torn on Justin Thomas. I really need to see him. He's striping the irons. He's putting okay. It's the perfect storm for Justin Thomas, and I think the number's fair.
22 to 1 seems like a good number, and the approach play has been good. It's fallen off a little bit lately, but that kind of does go hand in hand a lot of times when your putting increases. That's just what we normally see as a trend line through. Like when at the Genesis in Phoenix, when he came 9th and 6th this year, 8 strokes gained on approach versus the field, 5 strokes gained. He's either breaking even with the field or he's gaining 2 strokes. When he gained 1 at Bay Hill, he lost 5 strokes putting. In the last 2 weeks, the Players and the Valspar, he came 33rd at the Players, rallied to make the cut, tying the course record on the Friday to get there. And then Valspar, he came in second, gagging it down the stretch to Victor Hovland, who ended up winning. 3 strokes gained on approach, 2 strokes gained on approach, but 5 and 7 on the greens. I would not say that he's probably going to gain 7 strokes putting at the Masters. That's just me, though.
Yeah, I agree. And if he can go into the Augusta with the mentality that my back is against the wall, that I'm on the cut line, then he could win. He starts so many tournaments and has to hit those slinger cuts, do something that's not even possible, do the most crazy, impressive artisanal shot. And then once he realizes, oh, I'm in trouble, I'll hit a normal shot, I'll hit a stock shot, and then I'm lights out. So if he gets to that mode where he's back against the wall, then he can play well and not trying to be the fancy artist Justin Thomas and impress Tiger. Just be yourself, Justin Thomas, hit normal shots, and you could win any tournament you want.
I find when he plays a bit more free and attacks every single pin, which is usually a big mistake at Augusta, that's actually when he plays his best. And that's probably his biggest drawback at Augusta too, because every other part of his game absolutely checks out. Like when we talk about short game, there might be no one. There's like 5 guys in the world who have his sort of touch, and he just happens to be one of them.
You're right. You're definitely right. No, but I agree with you. When he plays free, he plays good. When he tries to like do the most and hit that perfect shot off of a plank because wants to start it out here, then that's when he gets into trouble because he wants to make the highlight reel shot. When he just goes at flags, I think he's the best. He's just the best.
If you are looking to really do your research, build your lineups, make some bets, or just try to predict who is going to win, you should be using all of the tools at fantasynational.com right now. The link is in the description. Masters promo going on right now. 20% off all packages, all the stats, all the tools, all the data, and you'll get the amazing PGA Tour Leader app, which is way better than the PGA leaderboard app that they put out, because that's absolute crap. With mine at Fantasy National, you can just have it update in real time. You don't have to open it. You don't have to refresh it, and you can put anyone on the screen at the same time. You don't have to click into individual player, click into play-by-play, none of that stuff. It's all made easy for you, and it updates faster than the PGA app. You will be ahead of the broadcast a lot of the time. FantasyNational.com/Mayo. Obviously, Matt, that's not going to work for the Masters because the Masters has its own stuff, and it has the best app going.
Yeah, the Masters app is a blessing. Every single year, ready to download it, and I'm happy that we have it again.
Here's the problem. It was sneaky kind of not good last year.
What? I wouldn't say that. What was wrong with it?
It was on delay because, I mean, they set the bar so high for themselves with being able to see every shot. Like, I was able to highlight my favorite players and then switch over to an alternate tab within the app on my phone, and it would update real time with the latest shot that these guys hit. That function did not work very well last year.
I might not have been using it as much as you that last year because I did not notice that. Sometimes I will with my group feed. It just like lags and repeats itself so much when it runs out of shot, and that annoys me. But outside of that, I love the Masters app.
How do you feel about small sample sizes at the Masters? Because one thing we have at Fantasy National is the last 7 years of strokes gained data from each of the rounds at the Masters. And I'm looking at it right now. Do you know who the number 1 player in this field is around the green on average?
Is it a small sample size guy?
It is. It's only 4 rounds of data.
Oh,
and I think we've
so
both. I think that we've both bet on him to win this year too.
Who is it? I don't know.
It is Akshay. Is number 1.
Akshay. Okay, that makes sense.
So
Akshay, wow, that's actually funny.
Yeah, so Akshay and Nikolai Højgaard are number 1 and 2. Obviously, their first Masters was both last year. So if we're looking at long term, all of the rounds at the Masters with guys with a reasonable sample, Scotty is next. He has 20 rounds, and he is averaging almost a stroke gain per round around the greens, which is insane. Hideki is after that. Austin Eckroat in his 2 rounds. Justin Thomas, Cam Smith, Ben Ann, Jordan Spieth, Russell Henley, Xander. Mike Weir is actually still up there somehow. Harris English, Sungjae, Will Zalatoris, Tommy Fleetwood, Tony Finau, Jason Day, JT Poston, John Rahm, Brooks, Shane Lowry, Rory Reed are the very tops of that list of guys gaining at least a quarter stroke per round, which means 1 per event if you make the cut. That leads us to Hideki as the next guy on this list that we're talking about. And his season is so weird right now. He wins the opening event, and he comes into this at the moment just kind of not playing good golf. He can't drive the ball at all. He started to figure that out a little bit at the Players and then hasn't been able to hit an iron in a month. This sort of form, if I looked at it for anyone else, obviously he's won a Masters, he's won this year, he hits the right trend line, but if I don't see something at Valero, he has to be a cross-off in my mind.
I agree. And Hideki is one guy that when people ask me, like I'm going to an event, what do you see from Hideki? I kind of just stopped answering. I stopped looking. I'm like, I don't want to see anything from Hideki because if I see greatness, he'll miss the cut. If I see him looking horrible, he'll win. So he's the hardest golfer to predict. I'd hand up. I don't know how to predict Hideki. So he's just someone that I kind of just stay away from, if I'm being honest. But you're right. The iron play is gone, and if you're Hideki Matsuyama, you can't have a lacking iron game. You got to be able to stripe him. So we need to see something at Valero for sure. But honestly, I want to avoid him at Augusta. I don't even want to see him because I don't want to get anything in my mind like I have to bet Hideki because it won't go well.
He still has the world-class short game, and that is what has really been fueling him in order to even make cuts. And it's not like the results are bad. Like the win at the Century, 16th, 13th, 22nd, 25th, did miss the cut at the Players, has not gained strokes on approach since Phoenix, which was in January, and just started gaining strokes back off the tee, and not with distance, with accuracy, but he's gaining like 5 strokes a week around the greens. Like he's just chipping in every single week or chipping it to a foot. If a few of those just don't roll in, he's missing significantly more cuts right now.
Yeah, I agree. And it's just, they didn't seem to be all the way there. He didn't look the part around TPC Sawgrass when I was out there. He looked to be disheveled, a little bit injured, but who knows? That's when I see him win. So I just stopped like caring what I see from Hideki, but it's just not good stats-wise either.
Tyrrell Hatton, Mr. Liv himself, John Rahm's teammate in Legion 13 on Liv, is up next. He was another one who had a really hot start to the season. He's currently 38-1 to win the Masters. His last 3 Masters, he went 52nd, 34th, and he was T9 a year ago. And he comes in great form in January, both on the DP World Tour, Asian Tour, and Liv, and has been kind of off the rails a little bit here lately on Liv. We'll see if he can get it back together at Doral. This is not a tournament I ever thought Tyrrell Hatton would even sniff a top 10 in, and here he is. He came inside the top 10 last year. I like him at other majors this year. I do not like him here.
Yeah, I think he's good enough to finish inside the top 10, like as just a golfer at a macro level. But I hate that he has the quote saying, I hate Augusta National. I don't think it's a fair golf course. How could you ever back a golfer who says that? I mean, he'll probably win after he says that. But I agree. I just think there's better spots for Tyrrell and like even maybe not better numbers, but fine numbers than this 38. I think the number's fair. I won't be going there with Hatton because he just doesn't seem to like the golf course.
A big thing about Masters odds that unless a number is really big right now before the Monday after the Valero Texas Open, I would just preach to everyone, wait for the odds to readjust because the futures markets in golf work as a one-way street. They only get worse until the week of the Masters. Then everyone resets. So Hatton right now, if Hatton has a poor finish at Liv Doral, and he's 37-1 right now, it wouldn't surprise me to see him at 65-1 by the time Monday came around.
Mayo experience.